Good morning, everyone. My name is Elliot Payne. I'm the president of Minneapolis City Council. Before we convene our meeting, we have the presentation of honorary resolutions. I'll invite Councilmember Chavez to give the first presentation related to International Transgender Day of Visibility.
All right, everyone. Today we're recognizing March 31st, 2026 as the International Transgender Day of Visibility. And our colleagues here are going to be able to read the resolution together. So whereas International Transgender Day of Visibility holiday was founded in 2009 as a recognition to the lack of LGBTQIA plus holidays to celebrate the successes and accomplishments of transgender, non-binary, gender-expansive, and gender non-conforming people, and whereas the city of Minneapolis was the first city in the United States to have an openly transgender person serving as the president of the city council, having just previously made history as the city's first in the United States to have 2 black, openly transgender council members elected to its body, and whereas Minneapolis was the first city in the United States to ban discrimination based on transgender identity 50 years ago when it amended its civil rights ordinance in 1975 by adding language banning discrimination based on having or projecting a self-image not associated with one's biological maleness or one's biological femaleness, and whereas the city of Minneapolis has continued to make efforts to reduce the significant disparities in employment, healthcare, safety, housing, and access to public spaces, as well as other areas, largely through the Transgender Issues Work Group created in 2014 and the Transgender Equity Council created in 2017, and
whereas in 2014, it's believed the city of Minneapolis was the first city in the nation to host a city-sponsored Transgender Equity Summit, an event drawing increased participation each year, upwards of 400 attendees. In the fall of this year, the city of Minneapolis will proudly host the 11th annual Trans Equity Summit, and whereas the Transgender Equity Summit is a result of a collaborative efforts of various city departments, cross-governmental partners, community-based organizations, and community members rooted in the LGBTQIA+ communities of Minneapolis, and whereas the establishment of the Transgender Equity Council in 2017, a voluntary body comprised mostly of Minneapolis residents, has further enhanced community engagement and participation in the advancement of policies and procedures of the city of Minneapolis that impact the lives of transgender individuals, and
in 2022. Whereas in 2022, the city of Minneapolis, and in 2023, the state of Minnesota issued executive orders to protect and support the right of Minnesota's LGBTQIA+ community members to safely seek and receive gender-affirming healthcare services, and an accompanying bill was passed at the legislature. In 2025, a new state law took effect requiring health plans that cover physical or mental health services to also cover medically necessary gender-affirming care. And whereas our transgender and gender nonconforming community members, both locally and nationally, continue to be impacted by the proliferation of executive and legislative attacks that perpetuate a culture of discrimination, harassment, and barriers to equal opportunities for the transgender community. And whereas the city rejects and condemns in the strongest possible terms the horrific and discriminatory efforts of the federal government to erase the identity of transgender people and drive them out of public life. And whereas it is incumbent upon all of us to confront and condemn this harmful rhetoric and physical violence against our transgender, non-binary, gender expansive, and gender nonconforming community members with intentional focus on trans youth and students who are experiencing group violence in schools. And whereas in December 2024, the City Council funded a LGBTQ2SIA plus mental health program to support the work of community-based organizations that deliver direct, affirming, and holistic mental health services to support the well-being of LGBTQ2SIA plus individuals. And whereas in 2025, the City of Minneapolis awarded a mini grant to Queer Space Collective, who supported trans youth mental health by reducing social isolation, by fostering peer and mentor connections, building resilience through skill building, and increasing self-confidence by trying new things in a safe and affirming environment. And
whereas in 2025, the City of Minneapolis awarded a mini grant to the Family Tree Clinic that planned and hosted an event for trans youth to provide them with support and let them know that they are cared for and appreciated. They had gender-affirming activities, books, and care packages for participants, and a local resource directory available. Whereas on February 19th, 2026, the Minneapolis City Council adopted a resolution denouncing the Trump administration's attack on gender-affirming care for youth. And whereas the International Transgender Day of Visibility is an annual holiday celebrated around the world that promotes the importance of recognizing and supporting the resilience and the strength of our transgender, non-binary, gender expansive, gender non-conforming community members on this day and every day. Now, therefore be it resolved, the Mayor and the City Council do hereby honor and recognize March 31st, 2026 as a day dedicated to celebrating the accomplishments and the victories of transgender, non-binary, gender expansive, and gender non-conforming communities while raising awareness of the work that is still needed to save trans lives.
And we want to open it up to our incredible city staff here to say a few words if they would like. Sure.
Thank you, Council Member. Hi, everybody. My name is Shore, like the seashore. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA Equity Manager at the City of Minneapolis. What a dream. And I always feel honored to stand with council members in moments like these when we honor our communities. My work is to honor the humanity of our communities here at the City of Minneapolis. So this summer we will be talking about what that looks like, offering some guiding lights, some plans, some actionable ways to continue to make Minneapolis a thriving city for our communities, as well as kicking off plans for the future of the Trans Equity Summit, the Trans Equity Council, and all of the amazing work that these amazing folks have laid the groundwork for. So thank you all so much for laying the groundwork for us. Thank you, Council Member.
And staff always plays an incredible role in making sure that these resolutions happen. All the behind the scenes work. So when we do these incredible days of honoring our communities, it is because we have incredible staff that do a lot of the work behind the scenes, and it's important that we recognize them as well. We have colleagues here. Councilmember Jenkins, I'm not sure if you want to say a few words.
Wow, thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Is it on? Yep. Can you guys hear me? Thank you, Councilmember Chavez, and all the council members for supporting this this day and honoring and recognizing this day is really important. I want to just ask all of you in the audience and people listening, please contact your legislators. There is a bill in the House that is trying to repeal the Minnesota ban on conversion therapy, which is a very deleterious procedure or process that trans and gender nonconforming and LGBT people go through. It really harms people much more than it helps. So contact your state legislators if you are an ally to this community. Thank you so much.
Shit, we're gonna get ready for a photo, but as we pass this resolution today, we are also, as a city, working on an all gender and all sexuality welcoming city ordinance, and it's also important that we recognize these important events, and we also want to make sure that we pass meaningful policy to protect our neighbors who are literally under attack by the federal government. So I just wanted to at least bring some awareness to some of the things that are going to be upcoming that are really important to our neighbors. And we'll get ready for a photo. This is, how do we do it?
So is the person.
Next, we will recognize High School Voter Registration Week with Councilmember Whiting.
Exactly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can I stop here? Sure. Sweet. Thank you. Awesome. Amazing. Great. It's a large group. Perfect. Thank you. Wonderful. So thank you all for coming. I was told that I wasn't allowed to just make it Washburn Miller Week, so I appreciate you all being here. We are joined by the four of us council members that have graduated from a Minneapolis high school. And so we have a De La Salle grad, Cristo Rey, Southwest, and Washburn. And so thank you to our high schoolers here as we stand here in recognition of High School Voter Week, Voter Registration Week. And want to talk to our four high schoolers here, Ben, Odin, Sydney, and Ice. And so thank you all for the work that you do every single day in our communities. We hear a lot about the future of our youth, but I want to impress upon the four of you all, it's not just the future, you are present as well. And so continue showing up every single day with the vigor, the vitality, everything that you bring to our city. It is beyond appreciated, and we thank you for it. Just a quick note on Ben here. So Ben has been absolutely fantastic with our voter registration, has been texting myself, the mayor, anybody that will listen, and has sent over hundreds of voters' interests and important voices to our team in the city. And so we thank you for your work, Ben. With that, we will kind of get to the registration here, or the resolution, in recognition of High School Voter Registration Week. Whereas the right to vote is a fundamental component of our democracy, allowing eligible residents the opportunity to express their voice in our governments and society. And whereas in the 2020 United States Census, there were over 26,000 individuals in the 15 to 19-year age range within Minneapolis nearing or meeting age requirements to vote. And whereas
high school age voters are historically underrepresented in voting populace and missed by traditional voter engagement methods. Whereas educating and empowering high school students to register or pre-register to vote fosters a culture of civic responsibility, strengthening our democracy for generations. And
whereas the city of Minneapolis historically records a high voter turnout state, having worked to maintain and improve the conditions in which voters have access to the ballot. And whereas the city of Minneapolis is committed to improving awareness and sharing information about the registration and pre-registration opportunities for high school age individuals. And
whereas the city of Minneapolis is committed to improving awareness and sharing information about registration and pre-registration opportunities for high school age individual. And whereas the city of Minneapolis is proud to celebrate High School Voter Registration Week and encourage all high school voters to learn more on their registration options to express their rights to vote. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council do hereby recognize the week of April 19 to April 25 as High School Voter Registration Week in the city of Minneapolis.
Thank you, and I would be remiss to note we also have some representatives here for Election and Voter Services and our League of Women Voters as well. And so again, thank you to all of you for the work that we are doing to ensure that democracy thrives, not just here in the city of Minneapolis, but across this country. You know, the work that you all do is entirely important in ensuring that democracy exists, and we thank you. Thank you for every single thing that you do every day. So thank you all so much for it. Yep. Yes. Would anyone like to say anything from Election Voter Services or League of Women Voters?
Hi, good morning. My name is Katie Smith. I'm the Director of Elections and Voter Services with the City of Minneapolis, and I have the honor of serving in that role. I'd like to express our thanks to the Council for their continued and ongoing support. And I'd also like to recognize my team members that are here, specifically our Student Election Judge Coordinator. We have a national award in our Student Election Judge program, and we have a whole lot of students across the city that not only are registered, but serve in the polls on Election Day itself. Also want to recognize our partners, League of Women Voters, and all of those who are not here with us today in our partner jurisdictions as well. And then most importantly and most key, all of our students who work so hard in the schools and on campus, doing the work of registration and serving as our student judges. And I'll go ahead and pass the mic along.
Yeah, I guess just it's important to vote. So in the midterms, make sure to vote and make sure to register before you vote, and vote in the primaries coming up in August.
I guess we're in an era in this country, this city, and in this state that we are really seeing extreme degradation in our rights and our voices as citizens. And right now, it is important that all of us go out and vote, and all of us speak up to our congressmen, to our city council representatives, and to our state representatives, so that we are able to continue having these rights as these years move forward.
Perfect. Yeah. No, you're perfect. Yeah.
Minneapolis public school students are being real famous.
These guys for coming.
Yeah, of course. Okay, we're looking right here. There we go. Right at Zoe. Yep. Perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'm going to call this regular meeting of the City Council for April 9th to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye. Are here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Rainville.
Here.
Councilmember Vita.
Present.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez.
Present.
Councilmember Warren.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Present.
Councilmember Wansley.
Present.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Present.
Vice President Osman.
Present.
President Payne.
Present.
There are 13 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. Before we begin the meeting, let me remind all members and staff that this meeting is broadcast live to enable greater public participation. The broadcast includes real-time captioning as a means to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. With that, the agenda for today's meeting is before us. Are there any amendments to the agenda? May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and the agenda is adopted. The next item is acceptance of the minutes from our regular meeting of March 26th. May I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved. Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and the minutes have been accepted. Finally, we have the referral of petitions, communications, and reports to proper committees. May I have that motion, please?
So moved. Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and those matters have been referred. The next order of business is the presentation of reports from standing committees. I'll recognize Councilmember Chowdhury to present the final report from our Super Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members, for your work on the final Super Committee of the Whole. It was, I think, a good 8 hours spent together. The Super Committee of the Whole is bringing forward 55 items to today's council meeting. The first 9 items were public hearings held at the Committee of Whole on Tuesday. Item number 1 is approving a liquor license for El Ranchito. Item number 2 approves an extended hours license for Ramadan Cafe. Items 3 and 4 approves resurfacing projects for Farview South and Whittier Northeast. Item number 5 approves zoning board appointments. Item number 6 is considering the drug paraphernalia decriminalization ordinance known as Care Over Criminalization. This was sent forward without recommendation. And items number 7 through 9 were all city appointments, and these were also sent forward without recommendation. Item number 10 approves a donation of Packer trucks to our sister city, Eldoret, Kenya. Item number 11 is a gift acceptance. Item number 12 is a legal settlement. Item number 13 approves a fire chief position. Items 14 through 17 are approving liquor and gambling licenses. Item 18 and 19 are Great Street loan approvals. Item 20 accepts a grant. Item 21 is a gift acceptance. Item 22 and 23 is a convention center contract and bid. Items 24 through 28 are referrals to staff for various ordinances. These were all sent forward without recommendation at the Committee of the Whole due to time. Items 29 through 31 are traffic management contracts. Items 32 to 34 are authorized master contracts. Item 35 approves a homegrown collaborative project. Items 36 accepts a grant, and item 37 accepts a gift acceptance. Item 38 authorizes an agreement with MnDOT. Item 39 authorizes a temporary easement. Items 41 and 40 are accepting grants related to projects. Item 42 designates the West Fulton project and adopts its report. Items 43 to 46 are various bids. Item 47 authorizes an agreement. Item 48 through 49 are various bids. Item 50 is a gift acceptance. Item 51 is an agreement for emergency housing vouchers. Items 52 considers a resolution for well-being services at the South Minneapolis Safety Center. This was sent forward without recommendation. Items 53 and 54 authorize exclusive development rights. And lastly, item 55 considers a resolution supporting Hennepin County's HCMC funding efforts. This was sent forward without recommendation due to time. And with all of that, I will move all items for approval and will pull the following for a separate vote and possible discussion. And that's items 6, 7, 8, 9, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 52, and 55. Again, all of these were sent forward without recommendation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilmember Chowdhury has moved approval of the committee report. Are there any comments on any of those items or need to pull any other items that were not already referenced? I'll recognize Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Council President Payne. I was going to pull out number 6 for discussion, and also figured if the clerks can send us an email with the items that were pulled out, because that was a lot.
What was the last piece?
If the clerks can email us all a list of all the items that were pulled out, because that was a lot.
Yeah. And we got 6 pulled out already, so. Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to pull item number 13 for a separate vote.
Okay, seeing no one else left in queue, and I will restate what's being pulled. We are going to take up all items on the agenda on the cow report minus number 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 52, and 55. I'll repeat that one more time. All items on the cow report minus items 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 52, and 55. And seeing no one else left in queue, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on all items except for the ones I've just numbered.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye on all items except 49.
Councilmember Vitaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osmond.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes on the report except for number 49, which has 12 ayes and 1 nay.
Those items carry. Next, we will take up item number 6, and I will recognize Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, President Payne. Colleagues, I want to thank you all for engaging in this critical and important topic regarding the care over criminalization ordinance. This ordinance is about criminal justice reform and public health. And while this ordinance has enough support to pass today, several council colleagues made a request for me for more time. That being said, I will make a motion to delay this ordinance until the April 22nd, 2026 full council meeting. That also means the amendments that we were going to consider today to 23? 23rd. April 23rd. That means that the amendments we are going to consider today that further align with state law will not be considered, but will at that meeting. I hope to use this time to better educate the public on the difference between drug possession and drug paraphernalia, which are two completely separate issues. This ordinance is simply about paraphernalia. Lastly, colleagues, I also want to bring attention about a letter we got from members of the state legislature this morning asking the city council to support this and asking Mayor Fry to sign it. This will be put on limbs as well. So, thank you.
Councilmember Chavez has moved to delay this until the April 23rd meeting. That's been properly seconded. I'll recognize Councilmember Chowdhury.
Yes, thank you, President Payne. I just wanted to take a moment to just thank this body for the conversation that we had about the care over criminalization ordinance at the committee of the whole. I think it was like a very helpful, robust discussion. I think it's really important that we do have the time for our community and members of the public that are asking questions about what this ordinance means to really understand the difference between decriminalizing drug possession and decriminalizing drug paraphernalia, and then also understanding more about why this matters in terms of a public health approach. I have been in conversations with several harm reduction organizations that have shared that their work really depends on community members feeling like they can approach them and approach treatment, and hypercriminalization makes many community members struggling with addiction turn inward. And also, one of the biggest things that we want to address is ensuring that we are reducing the number of HIV and hepatitis in our community. And a big way that's proven, that's evidence-based, is the decriminalization of paraphernalia. I also want to state that we have gotten emails of support from several community members, but also several physicians throughout the state of Minnesota that is deeply supportive of this effort. And I also want to thank Senator Claire Umu-Verbieten, who was an author of this legislation at the state level, and want to thank her for working with my office to really champion writing a letter of support. I really encourage members of the public to take a read at this letter of support from our state leaders. We have members of the state Senate and members of the state House, and we also have members that are supportive that wrote this letter and signed on to it outside of the city of Minneapolis. I want to especially thank Representative Kelly Muller, who is the chair of Public Safety, Finance, and Policy. And I'm going to look forward to the discussion that we have in the following weeks.
Councilmember Whiting.
Thank you, President Payne. I just would like to note, too, on the record here, what this ordinance is not. This ordinance is not the decriminalization of drug possession. That is still illegal under state law, and it will be illegal under Minneapolis ordinance. And so I think it is helpful to note that on the outset, and I know we'll have continued conversations over the next few weeks and months, particularly on this ordinance. But I would like to note my appreciation to Council Member Chavez. Specifically, I think, as I am supportive as the ordinance is written, I appreciate the move to kind of delay this further, to have further clarification and engage in kind of a collaborative spirit across this body to listen to the views and voices that can better reflect the vast majority of this body as well. So I appreciate doing that version of collaboration here. It means a lot to me, as I'm sure it does to others. So thank you.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to also thank Councilmember Chavez and the authors for bringing this item forward. This is a really important way for us to uplift the humanity of all of our residents in Minneapolis as we continue the conversation over this upcoming cycle. And I think that is a really good thing for us to continue to engage in conversations and really be a part of telling the truth about what it is we're doing, because we are not decriminalizing the possession or the use of any drugs. It is really specific to drug paraphernalia and in alignment with the state law change that was approved a few years ago now. As we continue this conversation, though, over the next cycle, I think my one ask to colleagues here is that we not participate in the harmful rhetoric or repeating the harmful rhetoric that degrades the dignity and the humanity of all people. Substance use disorder is an illness. It is no different from diabetes or cancer. It is an illness that afflicts tens of millions of people in this country. It's estimated something between 40 and 50 million people in this country suffer from substance use disorder. They are our neighbors, they are our loved ones, and we should remember that undermining the humanity and the dignity of people who are afflicted by this disease, by this chronic illness, is just not something that we should be participating in. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no one else left in queue, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion to delay this item until our April 23rd meeting.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainbow.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Walmsley.
Aye.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries. Next, we will take up item number 7, the appointment of the city attorney. Is there anyone who wants to speak on this item? Mayor Fry, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Thank you, Council Vice President Osman and council colleagues, and thank you to each of the nominees for your testimony that was earlier this week and those who came forward to speak on their behalf. As you heard on Tuesday, these are leaders who are not just stepping up into roles, they're seasoned. They bring decades of experience and respect of partners and colleagues at every level of government. All of us know the challenges and the pain our city has faced over the last several months. These are leaders in our city that have been able to navigate those challenges. And they've done so with precision, with great integrity, and experience that they have garnered over the course of the last several years. The first appointment, as I believe we are moving forward with right now, the city attorney, is not a routine appointment. This is a moment that demands tested leadership. Now more than ever, and over the last several years, Kristen Anderson has proven under pressure that she is able to deliver. Again and again, her career has been defined by stepping into crisis. The I-35 bridge collapse, the state shutdown, the pandemic, and now the challenges in front of us today. She doesn't just respond, she builds the legal strategy that is able to hold. Kristen has made it clear that Minneapolis values aren't just words. We defend those values in court, and we win. Her office has taken on the federal government multiple times to protect our neighbors, ensuring that funding continues and that our ability to govern ourselves remains intact. You've heard from leaders across the state, from the Attorney General's office to the Governor's office, who describe her as a lawyer's lawyer. That means she's the person that people call when the stakes are the highest because she's able to get it right. You also heard about the team she's built. Today, the city attorney's office is stable in a way that it has not been before. It is high performing, and it is 100% committed. The low turnover and high morale don't happen by accident. They're the product of really good leadership. And just as important, she understands the role. As she was said clearly in testimony, she is not the mayor's attorney, she's not the council attorney, she's the city's attorney. That independence is not a weakness, it's exactly what this position requires, and it's no easy job. We all know that good legal advice does not mean that we hear yes 100% of the time when we want to hear yes. In fact, some of the best lawyers will often tell you no when the law requires it. And then they'll work with you to find a path forward that is both effective and legally sound. You're not always going to agree with this city attorney or any city attorney. I do not always agree with this city attorney, but what matters is that the advice is consistent and it is well reasoned and it is grounded in the law. That is what Kristen Anderson has provided. At the end of the day, this comes down to trust. Do we trust the person who has defended this city in court, guided us through crisis, and built a legal team that delivers every single day? I do. And that's why I'm proud to support the reappointment of Kristen Anderson. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Mayor Fry. I'll recognize Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, President Payne. We didn't get to ask questions last week of you, City Attorney Anderson, so could you please, I put a binder together for the questions for all the nominations, and I'd like to ask mine. I kind of had a general question around what do you see as your biggest accomplishment in this current term, and what's the future for your department?
Mr. President, council member, members of the council, thank you for asking me that question. I was thinking about, I didn't get a chance to answer that question, well, so I wanted to get a chance to answer that question. The thing that I'm most proud of is actually part of my vision for the future. The city attorney's office, beginning in January of 2025, took a cross-departmental approach to dealing with the issues that arose with the federal government. From an early evaluation of all of the executive orders, we came to the council to present so we could educate you all and the public on what those executive orders did and the impacts on the city. We asked for delegated authority to bring litigation. We've sued 3 different lawsuits related to grant funding conditions, 1 lawsuit on Operation Metro Surge. But not only those things that are so visible, but the things that are not so visible to the members of the public. We worked on training for the entire enterprise on the separation ordinance. We really honed our U visa and T visa process so that we had that ability for individuals who qualified. We gave guidance, legal advice to our employees so that they understood how to navigate this very, very difficult and legally trying situation. And again, it was an all hands on deck from every part of my office. It wasn't just the civil litigators. It wasn't even just the civil client services folks. It was also the criminal attorneys. And then during Operation Metro Surge, it was again an all hands on deck approach with attorneys in my office, the community attorneys who were serving MPD and giving real-time advice to being in the emergency operations center, to my deputy and I being in the MAC, supporting the JIC, making sure that we had information out to you all and to the public. This was really an approach that I think was so successful and was able to show how we as an office can come together to solve the problems of the city. And so what I look forward to in the future is really more of that. One of the things that I learned from Minnesota Management and Budget, tiny little agency with a whole bunch of really, really smart expert people in very different functional areas. And one of the things that MMB did so well was no silos. Everybody came together with their own discipline to solve problems together. That's how problems get solved. We have so many smart people, not just in my office, but throughout the entire enterprise, administration, council. This is an opportunity for us to pull in people who have their specialties and really work cross-functionally to try to make the city a better place. And I really think that my term in the city attorney's office has really demonstrated my ability to pull not only again in my office, but to be sort of the glue cross-functionally within the enterprise to bring people together to solve the problems that face the city.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Something else I want to know. This isn't just your department. For me personally, I find some departments to just be full of bureaucrats. Like, it's just so hard to get things done. It is really like it takes a year to even understand who you need to be talking to. And you and I had a conversation after you got nominated, just to talk through some of the struggles I've had in my office with the city attorney's office. And I think one of them is like not having a liaison out of your office that speaks to council members, and we know how to navigate through those things. It's not about, I know you did a good thing with the open office hours, but that doesn't fit my schedule. Right? So like, I want the abilities to have someone who I can set up a regular meeting with and talk through things that come up in my office. And so I'm really hoping and expecting that moving forward, you and your office come up with some type of plan to do that. And then that leads me to my other concern. We talked about this a little bit too. There's some things going on at the Charter Commission right now, and I'm against it. And so like, what is your office's role, and how do we get a lawyer that goes to the Charter Commission regularly and tell us what's going on as the council?
Council President, council members, so the Charter Commission is a really unique entity, and we don't actually give legal advice to the Charter Commission. We give legal advice to you all. And so, we do actually have an attorney staffed to assist, and I know that Clerk Carl has been working with that attorney as it comes to Charter Commission issues, and that person and frankly, more lawyers can be assigned to assist you all through that process, but we don't actually advise the Charter Commission.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about advising the Charter Commission. I think it's about having information for myself, because usually when there's something, I'm someone who pays attention to it. When something's going on, I'm asking my friends, my lawyer friends outside of the city of Minneapolis. So I'm just wondering how we pull those things together and we get support. I'm trying not to speak for everyone, but I'm saying just me specifically, I would like support from the city attorney's office on issues that are at the Charter Commission.
Council President, council member, absolutely fair. And again, we do have an attorney that's assigned and works closely with the clerk, but we can absolutely make that service more available. In terms of the question that you raised about liaison, we do have a manager in charge of client services, Quinn O'Reilly. We have a deputy in charge of the whole civil division in Dan Abelson. And so we do have, I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I think that it's important for you all to be able to consult the lawyers in my office that have the expertise in the particular subject matter.
The council member is at time.
Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, President Payne, and thank you, CAO Anderson, for your service and your dedication to the city of Minneapolis, especially in this moment in time, and coming back to us to accept the nomination. One of the questions that I just wanted to start off by asking is, could you give us a layout of the current litigation that we have with the federal government?
Council President, council members, yes, I can. So again, there are actually 4 ongoing lawsuits, 3 involving grant conditions and 1 involving Operation Metro Surge. So the first that we brought, it's called San Francisco versus Trump. It is a lawsuit challenging essentially the presidential executive order that says that grant funding shall not flow to cities and counties that are so-called sanctuary cities. We assume that means that a city like ours that has a separation ordinance and will not assist the federal government in immigration enforcement. So we brought that lawsuit, I think it maybe was in February of 2025. That's actually the lawsuit that triggered our wanting to come to you for that delegation of authority. And we received a preliminary injunction in that lawsuit that enjoins grant conditions that would not have anything to do with immigration enforcement. The court's ruling essentially was like if the grant actually had to do, if it was subject matter specific to immigration enforcement, then those conditions could apply. Makes sense. We don't do that, so we're not applying to those grants. But generally speaking, other grants, and it's not specific to any agency. It was writ large grants. The second lawsuit is King County versus Trump. Another grant condition lawsuit. This is related to specifically federal highway administration funding. So in particular, like our Camden Bridge grant funding. Over time, there have been a couple of more, I think, DHSS grants that have been added. These lawsuits sort of balloon over time. But the reason why we sued was because our grant funding for the Camden grant was at risk, and the conditions that were being placed on those grants were unlawful. Prevention of DEI work, anything protecting individuals regardless of gender identity, abortion access, which are things that are all protected by law, not only by the city, but the state of Minnesota. And so we brought suit to get an injunction against those grant conditions. We did, again, get another preliminary injunction, and we continue to work with the federal government to get those funds flowing. As you can imagine, it's not the easiest thing to do. The third lawsuit is Chicago versus Nome. It's a suit that we brought to protect FEMA funds. This is funds that flow to our emergency management department and actually fund the vast majority of our emergency management department. So losing those funds would be catastrophic, as we've seen through the entire 2025 and early 2026, how important emergency management is for the city. And so again, that was another grant conditions that involved DEI, gender identity, and abortion access, and we got an injunction preventing those sorts of conditions being placed on grants. And then the last lawsuit is the Minnesota versus Nome case that we filed in January of this year in partnership with the Attorney General's office and the city of St. Paul, challenging the literal invasion of our city by the federal government. We sought a preliminary injunction in court to try to get the court to actually stop the surge. We were not successful in that, but the lawsuit continues, and we continue to litigate that case. We think we have many, many strong claims, and are feeling very positively about what we might be able to achieve.
Thank you so much. And then I know we also are getting sued by the federal government, but I won't have you speak on that.
Okay, yes.
And I think that really speaks to something that I have been thinking about as it comes to your nomination. For all of the nominations, I have been really trying to have as many conversations as possible and also just be reflective in the moment that we're in and then just our time together. The reason why we have a confirmation process is that one of our duties as city council members is oversight and representing our wards, the communities that we're elected to represent. And this is one of the touch points, if one of the only really big touch points where we have that with department heads and cabinet members. So I take it very seriously, and it also feels like a very heavy, weighty type of vote to consider. And I think everything in the world just has been shifting and changing so fast, and particularly at the start of this Trump administration 2.0, we have had the ground shake and oftentimes taken right from underneath us here in the city of Minneapolis. And you have been an extremely nimble attorney and leader of the CAO's office in this moment, as evidenced by the cases that our offices are taking on with several other cities, also in partnership with the Attorney General's office. And there is also not a small chance that we end up at the Supreme Court as the city of Minneapolis. So that's been a big factor in my consideration. I'm coming close on my time, so I'll just close with this. I think there are places that there needs to be improvement, right? Like there's a lot of consternation around the labor standards board conversation, and I think there's ways we can fix how we have communications when there's advocates and other experts that want to be in the conversation, and I'm looking forward to those conversations. But it's really clear that you're running a great office. Your employees really, really appreciate the work that you're doing, and it shows up in the way that work is happening at City Hall. And for those reasons, you have earned my support today.
You are at time.
Council President, can I just respond to one thing?
No.
Real quick? No.
Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. I just have comments, no questions. Kristen Anderson, as our CAO, I've really seen you grow in your leadership over time here, and I must commend you for developing a strong roster of attorneys who are service-driven and are open to exploring the how in terms of how we can advance a matter, as opposed to just leading with a immediate and definitive no consecutively. And as was shared by Councilmember Chowdhury, it's also very clear that your staff enjoys working under your leadership. My staff also has enjoyed working with your staff as well. Additionally, your office has done a phenomenal job at legally challenging the reckless and dangerous measures being enacted by Trump under his administration. And it's because of these reasons I was initially open to supporting this appointment. I think where I'm having some hesitancy, especially in light of Tuesday's public hearing, is your handling of questions regarding the balancing of the interests between the legislative and executive branch. This has been a problem in my office work with you in particular, and one in which we've discussed many times. And there has been several instances where you were unable or unwilling to support council's priorities when it contradicted or was in opposition to the mayor's priorities. And I'm thinking of the carbon fees, the off-duty injunction. We had a robust point of contention around the consent decree, specifically the DOJ modifications. In all of these situations, my office and a number of colleagues tried to work with you directly to figure out how we could also get the service that we're also legally entitled to, just as the rest of the city. And it felt as if each time there was a doubling down by you in your office. And that led to us having multiple public conversations around what felt to be was this inability for the CAO to do that balancing of both the priorities and work of the legislative and the executive that makes up the city. I had really hoped that on Tuesday, in response to some of those questions around how to do better at that balance, you would have shared specifically, proactive plans that you're putting in place or how you plan to adjust your operations to address this concern that has hindered a number of council members, including my own, ability to serve our residents and advance legislation that really meets the material needs for them. And I was disappointed that rather than using that feedback to shape a better approach, I saw a response with defensiveness and deflection. And I know that you have the ability to take feedback to improve your leadership. As I mentioned, I've seen that happen in other areas. And if you are appointed or reappointed to this position, I really hope you do take that into serious consideration. But that is what I wanted to name that's been a point of contention with me in terms of feeling confident and comfortable with supporting this appointment. And I hope that this continues to be a growth opportunity for you because, as I mentioned, I know you are capable of growth and improvement and have seen that. And I'm hoping this is one of the areas where that leaning into change and growth can also help correct what feels like something that could be easily addressed. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Stevenson.
City Attorney, I just want to ask you one quick question. But before I do that, I for all the other appointees, I read from the letter that we got from AFSCME, and it would just be unfair to you to not read from that here in public. Does this individual treat employees fairly and consistently? Yes. Does this employee foster a respectful work environment? Yes. Does this individual effectively resolve workplace issues? Yes. It goes on to be yes, 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 and then some glowing reviews from your staff of you, and I take that very seriously, and I thank you for being a good boss to our workers. Our workers are the lifeblood of our city. They make it happen, and I appreciate that you are treating them with respect, treating them fairly, and that they see that. Of course, they have some constructive criticism in here as well, but it is overall glowing, and I commend you for that. I just have one question for you. Can you commit to me that instead of no period, when I present something to you, you say no, comma, but we can make it work a different way, or let's think about how to make it work another way?
Council President and Council Member, I think that is what we try to do. I mean, there are some absolute no's. I mean, we know that. There are some hard lines. But we have tried very hard to be creative partners with you all. And as I say, we might not be able to get you here, but we can get you at least here. I also expect and hold myself to this, and you should hold me to this too. If my answer is no, I should explain why, right? I should help you as much as I can understand the rationale for the no. But again, is my commitment to try to be a creative partner and get you as far as I can? Yes, and I think that we do that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll be supporting your appointment, and thank you.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was said that the city attorney is the attorney for the city. It's not the attorney for the administration. It's not the attorney for the council. And I take that to heart because with the exception of our very learned Councilmember Whiting, none of us are attorneys here on the dais. We're politicians. We're elected officials. So we need you to tell us the truth. Unbiased truth. And it takes a strong person to do that because we push back on you. I've done it myself. And I apologize for being a little too rough if I was. But I'm going to vote for you because you do a very, very good job being the attorney for the city. Not for the administration, not for the council, for the city. So thank you for what you do.
Councilmember Whiting.
Thank you, President Payne. And quickly to Councilmember Rainville's point, I appreciate the nod of confidence here. And I think what we learn most is how much we don't know as lawyers. And I think the best thing there is actually kind of what I do know. And you figure that out as well. And what I do know is the city of Minneapolis has sued the federal government 4 times this year. And that is unprecedented across this country. We have a city attorney, we have a city attorney's office that is actively going to bat with the largest force of attorneys across this country and showing up and doing extremely well. When we were having these conversations during the last couple of months, Kristen and her team have been more than open and willing to have these conversations of how we are responding to this threat in our city, and I've only seen Kristen use her experience decades of experience in municipal law to show up and fight for our city. And so, again, what I do know is that we have one of the best attorneys in the state, and dare I say the country, at the helm of the city attorneys of Minneapolis here. And I'm proud to support you and give you all of that support for the next 4 years as well. So thank you, Kristen.
Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, President Payne. I have a question, City Attorney Anderson. My question is, what do you see as the biggest legal threat to the city right now?
Council President, Council Member, I am really concerned about what's going to happen between now and November. So I don't want to say more than that, but I'm concerned. We've seen the erosion of rights. We've seen trampling of federal and local power, and it concerns me.
Do you feel like you and your office are, I know we can't really prepare for what's to come, but like if there's some measure of preparedness, how are you feeling about you and your team?
Council President, Council Member, one of the reasons why I wanted to respond to Council Member Chowdhury, I want to give the props to the team. You know, I feel like I'm bringing something to the table in my leadership, but I want to be clear. It's my team who are working night and day, weekends, with intense talent, fighting the good fight. It's by no means just me. I'm like this little cog in this amazing apparatus of the city attorney's office with the talent that I feel good to support. I think that my employees are happy working with me, and they want to stay. In fact, one person left and I got her right back. So we have the talent. We absolutely have the talent. You know, what our opportunities will be, we will see. You know, I also feel like we have done a tremendous job establishing partnerships with the Attorney General's office, with the City of St. Paul, with the Public Rights Project, which is a national organization that we have, you know, the grant condition lawsuits that we've brought have been in partnership with them. So we are plugged into that apparatus. In fact, in December, I went to a conference with the Public Rights Project where we were talking and thinking about what are the strategies. So I feel like we are in a really good position to be able to take action if we have that opportunity. And obviously, you know, we always have, you know, limitations about, well, do we have standing, et cetera, et cetera. But to the extent to which we don't have the ability to directly bring suit if that's necessary, we're so very plugged into other entities that can, and we know that we could be a very good partner in terms of providing information and thought partners. So I feel like we are in a really good spot. And again, I'm going to give the credit to the talented lawyers in my office. They are phenomenal.
Thank you. I agree with you. You certainly have a phenomenal team, and not to take away from a group, but there's some extraordinary women on that team of yours. Indeed. That they really they are about the business of the city, and it is a joy to work with so many of them on your team. Even if I just run into them at the escalator, whatever, like they are amazing to work with. I'll just end with this. You're probably the appointment that I got the most calls about, and all of them were calls from partners who have said you have been a joy to work with on a large scale as a partner in the city attorney's office. Some of the comments people made is that you are ethical, you're competent on every level, and if you have an area that you're struggling in, you bring other people to the table that can help. I think that is amazing to know about someone, that you don't have to know everything, but if there's people around you who do, that you are willing to bring them to the table. People say you show up. We're in a fight right now, and you got glowing reviews around showing up and being there in support of the city and what the city needs, and I really appreciate that. I know we're in a unique time right now with fighting, and I appreciate all that you and your team have done, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you. I just got back into queue because I did want to finish some of the things that I wanted to say. We're not going to take up an appointment for CAO anytime soon after this. So one of the things that I've really appreciated and I want to continue with our relationship to the city attorney's office is you and I have had a lot of back and forth over the last couple of years. Some tense conversations, some emotional conversations, and like you've always taken my feedback in good faith, and you've always made efforts to address concerns and make changes. And it's never my expectation that you do exactly what I'm saying. It's just to feel heard and to feel like I'm met in the middle. And I feel like that has happened time and time again. From various different issues, whether it's like about how we're working a policy, or maybe it's like just the dynamic between like council members and the city attorney's office. So I want to keep on continuing that and growing that. I think like it's a major strength of our relationship as city council to CAO's office. The other thing that I love doing, it's one of my favorite parts of this job, especially on the legislative side, is like when we get to workshop policy together. Like, I love it. I love going line by line. I love tearing down a policy down to its bolts and understanding what we're trying to do. I am looking forward to asking more questions about how do we make enforcement actually mean something so we can actually make sure that like a policy is upheld for people. I felt really, really gratified in our work on the separation ordinance together and some of the ordinances that we're doing right now. And you don't need to come back up and answer it as a question, but one of the things that I would like to see you commit to, because there's like the role that we have in terms of like client services around policy and the work that we do there, but there's also like a role that I feel like you as the city attorney and specifically with our council president and council leadership play in terms of like the infrastructure of how city council and city attorney work together. I think there needs to be changes and improvements because I think the work's evolving and we have the opportunity to do that in the next 4 years. And there's different creative ideas that a lot of members have brought up from this body that I want to see worked on so we can have an even better workflow between the city attorney's office and the city council, and you and I have discussed that. And so I'm looking forward to that. I also love how fast some things just turn around out of the city attorney's office, so let's keep that up. And just thank you again for accepting this nomination and stepping up back to the plate for Minneapolis.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll actually invite the City Attorney Anderson up just for a quick question. A couple of Super Cal meetings ago, we were joined in these chambers by the Hennepin County Attorney. And one of the things that she talked about during that presentation that honestly wasn't really even related to the subject matter, but really caught my attention, was she spoke about how the office included attorneys that were dedicated and walled off, who she entrusted to provide direct legal advice and work solely with clients in other branches of government. And I thought that practice was an interesting one in ensuring that every aspect of client in that public legal office receives like the very best legal service and can build deep trust over time and can help navigate conflict when different parties disagree. Is that the sort of thing that you would be open to doing for, as an example, the council to ensure that we have like a dedicated and walled off representation?
Council Vice President, Council Member. that's not consistent with my vision. As the, me or anybody else, the city attorney is ultimately responsible for the work product of the entire city. I don't know how I could be completely walled off from the work that's being done by my office and feel like I was being responsible. As I tried to describe on Tuesday, the vision that I have for my office is, again, taking those barriers down and making sure that you have all of the expertise that my office brings to your problems. So, we have folks who are assigned to departments that learn the law of those departments very, very deeply, and the people and the processes. So when they come and work on your projects, they are able to bring all of that, not only legal knowledge, but institutional knowledge, to make sure that the work that we do for you is not only legally sound, but like it actually works. And then we're able to bring in the litigators to be able to really kick the tires and make sure that the policy that we wind up with for you is as strong as it possibly can. We help you work on the legislative record so that we know that we have all of the evidence that we need, we have the right language, and we can defend any piece of legislation that this council has.
Thank you very much. That's all I have for you. You can grab your seat again. There are areas where I firmly believe that that City Attorney Anderson has faithfully and admirably executed her role. I want to thank her for her service and for an extensive career in the public sector, serving the people of this city and of this state. Her prompt and consistent responsiveness and the use of every tool available to her to challenge the cruel and reprehensible policies and practices of the Trump administration that harm our residents and the rights of the city of Minneapolis. It has been excellent. Thank you for doing that. However, there are other areas that City Attorney Anderson has adopted a practice for the City Attorney's Office that I believe are counter to the responsibilities of the role under the Charter. The city attorney is supposed to represent the city, and that explicitly includes the mayor, the city council, all of our appointed boards and commissions, and the departments that make up the mayor's administration, ultimately serving the residents of Minneapolis. Her policy of refusing to meet with subject matter experts, whether they be legal experts in any particular field or especially subject matter experts serving on our appointed boards and commissions, does not serve any of those parties and undermines robust democratic policymaking. To continue to uphold that policy while attending public press conferences and engaging as a public figure has, in fact, left the residents and members of appointed boards and commissions feeling that the office is being politicized. I believe the city attorney, more than any other role within the enterprise, must be neutral in disagreements or disputes about policy and politics. That's inherent to our role, and it's incredibly important. This is especially important when it comes to disagreements between the council and the mayor. Myself and many of my colleagues have provided feedback to City Attorney Anderson that we do not feel she moves in a manner that's consistent with that neutrality all of the time. In fact, in 2022, in an email about council members, one of the senior leaders working in her office noted to her that the matter before the council posed minimal legal risk, but that it may be important for the attorneys to try and scare the council more anyway. This is just one clear example of when I felt the city attorney's office under City Attorney Anderson's leadership has put the thumb on the scale on matters of policy in a manner that is inappropriate and inconsistent with the charge of the office. As a client, it's important to me to have complete faith that my legal counsel is giving me clear, unbiased advice that I can rely on. It's just as important that potential risk is communicated equally to all clients across the enterprise. For example, in 2025, City Attorney Anderson approached me to make me aware that she wanted me to cancel a community event celebrating the vibrant Muslim community in Minneapolis. I ultimately took her advice, but I was deeply frustrated that similar events celebrating our diverse communities, including our Catholic residents, had been hosted by city leaders without issue time and time again. I believe we need a city attorney who will tell us no.
I appreciate that City Attorney Anderson has never shied away from that responsibility. I just want and believe the city needs to be needs for that no to be consistent across the board. This is not an easy vote for me to take. I know City Attorney Anderson cares deeply about justice, the city, and its residents. I appreciate the time she's given me, the growth of our relationship over our shared time together. And I know that no matter how people on this dais vote today, you will continue to work with everyone sitting here, myself included. This is not an easy thing to do, and I appreciate that. Ultimately, I feel that I have to vote no on this appointment because when repeatedly given the same feedback over the course of her tenure, there has not been changes to the culture and the policies of the office that I've outlined, and that run counter to what I believe is the charter's directive to the role. In the upcoming term, I hope the city attorney will commit to equally and equitably representing all of her clients. And I look forward to continuing to serve with you over this upcoming term. Thank you.
I added myself to queue because I just wanted to speak to some of the topics that were highlighted here. You know, we've had a very close working relationship over these years. I mean, even before becoming president, just by being dais mates. So that's actually gone a long way in building a really productive relationship. And but there has been these challenges around some of which Councilmember Chugtai has brought up around how we as a body interact with your office. And I think Councilmember Vita was the most explicit in feedback around how we might move forward together, and I think we even had similar conversations. And I think this is actually feedback not just for the city attorney's office, but for every single appointment that is coming in front of this body. I think every single leader of this institution needs to think deeply about how they're supporting the work of this body and how we actually structurally support that work. And I think that there are ways to do that that can live within the charter and live within the separation of powers. But, and I don't want us to have just coordinators. We need strategic partners across every department in this institution to be able to do our work and serve our residents effectively. And I think that's feedback that I want for you to take as the city attorney, but I want actually would be a request as everybody is considering their appointments and coming forward to this body. How do you proactively share with this body how you are going to go about providing much more strategic partnership with how we govern? Because I think that's something that is desperately needed in this institution. It's desperately needed by our residents, and I think that we can get to a better way of actually serving our residents together, because these are not the council's residents, these are not the mayor's residents, these are our collective constituents. And so with that, Councilmember Schaefer.
Yeah, I will just close with some simple thoughts. I will be supporting all three of these candidates today because they have an authentic track record that we can trust. They have a long, rich history of work experience, stellar job descriptions, and I am proud to support all three of them today. I will not bring up personal details in long emails from years past. That will be my commitment for me as we go through these future processes. I today just want to say one other thing. These candidates are well respected. They are the mayor's picks, and the voters chose the mayor. So today, I support these candidates because of their track record, and I am excited to support each one. Thanks.
Seeing no one left in queue, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. President, this item was forwarded without recommendation, and I haven't recorded a first and second.
Is there a motion to approve this item?
Yes. Second.
That's been moved and seconded, and I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Oh.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Nay.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Nay.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 10 ayes and 3 nays.
That item carries. Next, we will take up item number 8, which is the appointment of the city operations officer. And I will recognize the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Council. Leadership at City Hall isn't just about keeping the lights on. It's about making sure that our city actually works for the people that call it home. And that's exactly why Margaret Anderson Kelleher should be nominated and approved for this job. She does that work every day. When snowstorms hit, when water mains break, when residents need the basics to just work, that's when Margaret's leadership shines. She doesn't simply respond, she organizes, she coordinates, and builds systems that deliver and do so quickly. Under her guidance, City Hall operates as one team, not a collection of silos. This has led to faster responses and clearer communication and services that reach our neighbors when they need them most. As former Mayor Sharon Sales Belton noted, the Chief Operations Officer is the bridge between the council and the mayor, and Margaret has fully embraced that responsibility. Her job is to take a collective vision and to turn it into results, and that's exactly what she's done. We've seen the outcomes in projects like the Southside Community Safety Center, the Minneapolis Democracy Center, and the ongoing work at George Floyd Square, some of the most important efforts happening in our city today. We see it through the 17 departments under her that are unified and modernized. And we see it in day-to-day results, streets plowed, clean water flowing, and affordable housing coming online. At the heart of all of this is trust. Margaret has earned the trust of her colleagues, the community, and this council. She knows this city, she knows the people, and she knows how to get results. That combination of experience, of judgment, and dedication is exactly what this role requires. That's why I'm proud to reappoint Margaret Anderson Kelleher as City Operations Officer. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, President Payne. I just have a comment. COO Anderson Kelleher, like others I've said, I just really wish we have better coordination with your department heads. One of the reasons why I voted for additional FTEs is to be able to get services to the city council. I would love liaisons in every single one of these departments that work directly with the council. It's complicated for me to always have to call you for things. I would really appreciate, service where there's someone who I know I can go to and it's gonna get to you, and I can talk with them and things will get worked out. Those FTEs in my mind were exactly that. It was that bridge to making sure I get what I need in my ward and that I'm aware of what's available at the city of Minneapolis to my ward. So just better coordination of the department heads and just a direct line to folks who could help things would be really good.
Councilmember Osman. Oh, sorry, Vice President Osman.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, CEO. We appreciate your work. I made my comments on Tuesday, but just wanna highlight that if one part of our city is not doing well, our city is not doing well at all. I always say that consider this as a body in our city, but there are some neighborhoods that are really struggling with a lot of challenges. Could be addiction, trash, graffitis, safety issue. It's unthinkable to live in a city where one section of the city, when you go, it's clean, safe, wonderful, but at the same time, other places that it's got like a no-go zone. I really hate to put it that way, but the residents and the council look in your leadership and the mayor's leadership to lead this, and we are a partner. We know the community very well. We live in the community, those places. We talk to those people, and we have some solutions, some suggestions, and I really look forward next 4 years to partner with you and to ease up some of the challenges our residents has faced, and also to really provide the best services we can for our city. So thank you for coming back.
Councilmember Rainbow.
Thank you. I'm going to be voting yes today for you, COO. And the reason is because of your good decision making. And you make good decisions based on your past experience as Speaker of the House, the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and Public Works. And you have a really tough job in that you have so many employees and department heads, you're going to say no to things. And that's hard because everybody wants to be well-liked, but when you say no to people, they're not going to like you. But you've made really good decisions based on your past experience here at the city, and I thank you for that. And I hope you get reappointed, and I look forward to working with you in 4 years.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think we're forgetting that this is a fairly new position. We don't talk about it that way anymore, but it's significantly different than the previous city coordinator position. And COO Anderson Kelleher is the first person to fill this role. It's my understanding that she did not pursue this role. It's my understanding she was doing a great job as Public Works Director, but she stood up when asked, and that's not easy to do. As mentioned by other colleagues, she brings a huge amount of experience and knowledge for public sector governance and operations, and I can't imagine there's anyone that could bring that kind of experience to this role. Minneapolis is the heart of the Twin Cities in the state. What happens here matters everywhere, and COO Anderson Kelleher understands and promotes that. I think that's important. I think that you, COO Anderson Kelleher, have really transformed how our administration works under the new government structure. I think you see where you need to be personally involved, but also where others can take on that work, and that's the mark of a good leader. I think that you have hired exceptionally qualified deputies in DCOO Brett Jelly and DCOO Laura Mellum. The ability to see somebody's potential and skills and allow them to use them is really the mark of a good leader. We were all sent the communications by AFSCME Local 9 indicating their non-support for her. I agree that this is likely a small sample of the entire workforce of our enterprise under your leadership, and I would lean more heavily on the results of our larger survey. But I do take that feedback seriously, and I will continue to challenge COO Anderson Kelleher to reflect on that and dig into it and respond to that appropriately. So thank you for continuing to be willing to serve us.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Colleagues, I was not born in Minnesota, but I'm Minnesotan enough to hate interpersonal conflict. But I have to say, I will not be supporting your renomination because our city employees have said you have not done a good job. And they have said that you are not a good boss to them. And I can't sit up here as someone who was an AFSCME worker and as someone who believes that economic democracy as well as political democracy are vital for the future of our country. We are in a time where democracy is under attack, and we need leaders in the places where we have control who are going to be promoting democracy, both political and economic. And so by supporting economic democracy, that means supporting our unions, that means supporting our working people. We have control over the employees of the city of Minneapolis, and when they tell us that you are not doing the job that needs done in the way that it needs done, I feel that we need to listen. I feel very strongly that we need to listen to that. I followed up on the comments about internal polls versus external polls, and I'll just say, anytime I've been asked to fill out an internal poll that asks, what do you think about your boss? I do not say, I hate my boss, because everybody knows you can see which email filled out which poll. And even if that's not necessarily the case, workers believe that. And so I don't think internal polls are accurate for that purpose. I think workers believe that they cannot be truthful on those. I really do. And so I take a lot of weight in the third-party poll coming from AFSCME. And that is why I will not be supporting you. And it's because I support our working people here in the city. And I encourage my colleagues to follow suit and to support our employees. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you so much, President Payne. And thank you, COO Anderson Kelleher, for your dedication to the city and your service. And I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. It has been a tremendously difficult time in our city, and it continues to be so. And we also don't know what's next, right? And that's an unsteadiness that every single person in the city of Minneapolis that works here in this enterprise feels each and every day. And that is something that you in your role have to particularly hold, and I wanted to acknowledge that. I also wanted to acknowledge that I see the ways in which your brilliance shows up in the work. I see the ways in which you work really, really hard, and I have a lot of support for women who work really hard in their roles and try to do their best, and in doing their best is like really rising above most. So I wanted to give your flowers on that. This has been a really difficult decision for me. There's been a lot of things that I've had to weigh and think about. I think regardless of my vote, you're going to be our COO, and I want to have a good relationship with you, and I want to work with you, and I want to build off of the foundation that we've built. And when I was really thinking and contemplating about the things that happened over the last couple of years and like the places where I had concerns, I think one place that rose above everything else for me was the way in which the city of Minneapolis addresses unsheltered homelessness and homelessness. Like, that's been a top issue for me before I was ever even elected into office. It was something that I cared about deeply as a community organizer and then as a policy aide for different council members. And I think the way that we address unsheltered homelessness is not meeting the moment. And I think there's been some improvements, but a lot of the things that we rely on as a city is pretty punitive and lack imagination, and also have created a lot of harm in our community. I think about Camp Nanakasi. I think about a practice of putting like concrete onto empty lots. I also just think about like something that it's not anyone's fault, but it's like our cold weather and extreme weather cases and how we handled that. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of siloing, and that's where we're not seeing a bridge between community, the council, and the city administration. And I think it also kind of highlights some of the other issues that might be happening across the administration that I do believe we can improve upon. I mean, that's the charge for us the next 4 years. And the other place is, for me, it does really matter how our workers feel in the city of Minneapolis. When we had an appointment for the city coordinator's office or the COO before, it was at a whole other scale, but like the relationship there was so fraught, and I made a promise to myself, and seeing so many of, at the time, like peers at the city of Minneapolis coming and really putting their reputation on the line to advocate for a better workplace, like that's always something that I'm going to have a lot of weight in and care a lot about. And I think the survey that we received from employees asking different questions than they were asked in the larger survey really shows that there is a much needed thing that needs to be addressed around workplace climate and how workers feel. And there's also a lot of work that needs to be done to improve relationships with human resources. And that's something directly that you will work on and you do work on. And while there are many things that I think are positives, and I voted in support of your nomination last time, I think this time, for the reasons that I laid out, I am a no today, but I am committed to working with you and improving things in the city of Minneapolis. And I think one of the huge opportunity points that we do have that I think would shift the culture for us as council members
And the city administration is figuring out how we change and improve council and administration relations. And I think that's something you and I and our leadership here are uniquely positioned to do, and I think we can do it. I want to come out at the end of this term and say, these are the ways that we tangibly did it, and this is how it improved the work that we did for the people of the city of Minneapolis. Thank you.
I'm trying to add myself to queue. Looks like speaker management's a little bit behind, but I think I've shared this story many times with you. The first time I ever volunteered to do anything in the universe of politics was to phone bank for your run for governor. 2006? How long? When was that? Okay. 15 years ago. Okay. And now in working closely with you, it is no surprise to me how you ended up the Speaker of the House. You have just a very deep savvy about how you navigate political systems, and that is made very apparent in our working relationship. And I highlight that because, you know, I've actually worked at the city. This will be my 10-year anniversary working for the city. I worked here 4 years before running for office, and I worked in the coordinator's office. And this role has always been challenging to define, even as the city coordinator. And it's always been a role that has, even under the weak mayor system, sandwiched in between being a civil servant and having to wade into politics and navigate politics. And to me, especially with this role getting redefined as the COO from the city coordinator, it needs to be much less political than it was in the past. And that's the thought process that I have going into my vote. I've experienced your savviness firsthand, and I have not always been on the right side of that. And that's one of the things that I would like to work with you on in moving forward, because by my count, I don't think my vote is going to change the outcome here. But what I would really like to see is, although this role reports to the mayor, it is accountable to the people. And we need to make sure that we are always putting the residents' needs first. And so I won't be supporting you today, but I do believe you will be our new COO, and I'm looking forward to working through those challenges together. And with that, I will ask if there is a motion on this item.
I moved.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Nay.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Nay.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
No.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Nay.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Nay.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Nay.
There are 7 ayes and 6 nays.
That item carries. And next we will take up item number 9, which is the Commissioner of Community Safety, and I'll recognize Mayor Fry.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Council. On Tuesday, we heard from Commissioner Todd Barnett and from the many people who have had the opportunity to work beside him, have served under him, or seen firsthand the difference that his leadership makes. They were very clear. Minneapolis is safer, it is stronger, and it is better prepared today because of the work that he has done. Commissioner Barnett stepped into this role at a moment of real strain. Strain in the city broadly, and also a department, an office that was relatively newly stood up. He didn't wait to see the way the wind was blowing. He got to work, bringing structure, stability, compliance, trust where it was needed most. He rebuilt communication across departments that hadn't always talked to each other. And he did so with humility and with calm. And I think, as I've mentioned to many of you, don't mistake Commissioner Barnett's calm for a lack of urgency. The guy is urgent. He works tirelessly. He has this unbelievable sense of integrity And I can tell you that during some of the hardest moments, especially over this last year, having that sense of calm and clarity in the room saved lives. There are many different leadership styles. No one of those leadership styles is the correct one, but to have a diversity of them in the room at any given time is critical. He's exhibited that kind of leadership as the chief judge of the Hennepin County courts. He's exhibited that leadership as a defender, prosecutor, as someone who cares about the underlying integrity of how our government functions. He is not a loud person, but he is a thoughtful one, and he gets the job done. He knows this work. When the Annunciation tragedy happened, our public safety system responded immediately, coordinated and effective. That was not a coincidence. That was preparation, and it was leadership. It was preparation that stemmed back many, many years, doing the hard work of multiple practice sessions, of running simulations, of literally going out to Emmitsburg, Maryland. This is work that the commissioner led. We have a nation-leading emergency management department right now because of Commissioner Barnett, because of the recruitment efforts that he did to get that director, because he did the work to build it out, to ensure the integrity of a chain of command, and to make sure that emergency management wasn't just the title of a department on a piece of paper. We improved. The progress that we've seen since 2020 around emergency response, undoubtedly, I think most of us would acknowledge, has seen massive improvement. It's okay to recognize when we need to improve on things. And when you do recognize that, you don't just sit back on your hands, you do the work he has. The management that you've seen over these last 3 months, the management that you've seen over this last year is indicative of that progress. And looking ahead, Todd has made it clear that this work doesn't stop at City Hall. It requires strong, trusted partnerships with the state, the county, the people of this city, and well beyond. But what stood out most to me on Tuesday wasn't just Todd's resume, which is ridiculously strong. It was the people that talked about his character, including Councilmember Whiting. Words like steady, calm, respected. A leader who listens, who shows up, who will take the time out of their busy schedule to help an 18-year-old with his future. I have heard this story over and over and over again from countless people. I don't know where he gets the time to meet with and mentor people because he's working all day at City Hall and beyond. Our city is still rebuilding. The work of long-term reform is far from over, but the way forward isn't to start over. It's to continue with the right leader in the right place. So today I ask you to join me in voting to confirm Commissioner Todd Barnett to continue leading the Office of Community Safety. He's the right person, not just for this moment, but for where Minneapolis is headed next. Thank you, council members.
Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. I will be voting against this appointment, both because I believe Commissioner Barnett has not fulfilled the responsibilities of this position. In fact, a huge part of my time on council has been trying to prevent the Office of Community Safety from neglecting or sabotaging key pieces of the comprehensive public safety system that both this body or some of members of this body and the public has been spending years to advance. Council has also had to intervene in rescuing key services like our behavior crisis response. Council had to hold the administration accountable to adopting any kind of specific plan for advancing non-police public safety services. Council also had to do extensive oversight of contracting and procurement practices after OCS leadership permitted prior staff to issue contracts with clear conflict of interest. Council members like myself have spent countless hours triaging calls and emails from violence prevention contractors who were hitting operational and logistical dead ends. And in spite of every attempt being made to work directly with OCS to rectify those concerns. Year after year, this office has failed to do anything meaningful to advance public safety beyond policing. And time after time, it's become clear that it's just simply not a priority for this administration. And we see that even with some of the cuts made to programs just in the past quarter. Commissioner Barnett leadership is certainly part of that problem, but I believe at this point it's not actually just on you, it's inherent to the entire idea of the Office of Community Safety. This office was supposed to be a trial as part of the government structure ordinance, and I feel very confident that the outcomes of that trial has failed. And it has not been a worthwhile investment that has improved the life and safety conditions for residents in an actual meaningful way. Council authorized spending millions of dollars for a step-by-step plan called the Safe and Thriving Communities Report, which gave us a 10-year roadmap on how to develop a comprehensive public safety system. And we did so in consultation with subject matter experts and professional consultants, and who brought in technical support in helping us implement this program. And we still have not made significant progress on implementing that plan. And this is with, again, those professionals at the table also having the highest paid leader in the city or even in the state of Minnesota and a team of staff. A part of that table, we have not seen significant strides in that work, and we've seen it actually stall out in recent months. We also know that MPD is failing critical components of the settlement agreements. OCS leadership is regularly failing to comply with legislative directives to share basic information with council and the public in a timely manner. And whether they're unable or unwilling at this point, it's clear the office is just not meeting the goals that was intended in its creation when we brought forward the government structure ordinance a few years ago. And for me, it would be better to spend the money that we've invested in this office and the personnel to actually redirect that into prevention or violence prevention services, the actual city services that's helping keep our residents safe. And we would still be able to be in compliance with the government structure because all those departments would still report to the mayor himself. Nothing would change. And that could help us save nearly $2 million per year that we're currently wasting with the existence of this office. So again, I am a no. I look forward to working with my colleagues and the public are actually figuring out a way to eliminate this office and find a new way to actually advance in our current structure to actually advance seriously comprehensive public safety that supports our residents.
Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, President Payne. Commissioner Barnett, I am so excited to support you today. I think this is probably, this is my top thing for this term so far, is to have you come back before us and say you want this job. I got a different set of calls regarding your appointment since Tuesday. And it's the community that I represent saying how connected they feel to you and to public safety because you're in this position. I don't know that people understand how deeply connected you are to some communities because of the work you've done. I know that Councilmember Whiting said, you know, as a young law student or a person interested, that you mentored him. I have a personal experience with you through a family member that you mentored in your court over 20 years ago, that you could have easily just looked at and said, you're going to jail, but you saw something in them and you followed through with them for years and years and years. Still now you do. There's never a time where I see you where you don't ask me about this family member or, you know, just my family in general. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate what the mayor said. We need the level-headed commissioner in these rooms, especially me, because I pop off and I need you to be like, calm down, right? And so I appreciate the balance of relationships. You know, I appreciate that, you know, when I have a conversation with your staff, you know to ask them, well, what exactly did she say? This might not be the end, right? Like, what did she say exactly? And you know it's okay to come back and talk to me about it. I appreciate that. You know people. And you especially are just a good person overall. What you bring to public safety is unmatched. It is truly unmatched in this city. I couldn't ask for a better person to be in charge. Have I experienced frustration with you, with the department? Absolutely. I have the same fight with everyone. Where is the FTE that's gonna work with council? We've talked about this so many times. Where is the connection directly to my office so I don't always have to call you and tell you to meet me out on Penn and Lowry? So I don't always have to call you and tell you in the middle of the night something just happened and how are you going to respond to this? I'm really looking for that direct liaison, and I know that you understand it. Where I'm giving you grace at is that you don't always fix it for me the way that I want to fix it, but I know you care about it. I know that what I'm asking you to do, it's not like just gone. It's we're gonna work on it. We're working on it. You may not see it, but I want you to know it's just as important to me as it is to you. I just can't even tell you how much I appreciate that about you as an individual and how you make your team show up in that way. You're another person that has just, you have people around you who care because of how you care. You have people that show up for us in certain ways because you show up for us in certain ways. And as the mayor said, it looks like nothing's happening, but I see it. I see the train moving with you all the time, even if it feels like the train is moving a little slow. There's always like something big on the other side of that. And I appreciate that because I know who I am and I like different people around me. I like different leadership styles. I don't expect everyone to be the same. I don't expect everyone to work the way that I work. What I expect, though, is that we all care about the people in the city of Minneapolis. And I know for certain that you do, just way above what I could even expect for somebody in this position. And so I'm just excited that you want this at a time in your career where you could be a chief judge, right? Where you could be doing something else. You want this high profile job. You want to be the face of public safety in the city of Minneapolis. I really do appreciate that. When you said the other day that people asked you, are you really coming over here? I was one of those people. Because we used to hang out and just go grab coffee before you came over here. You were living the dream. You were like, I'm retiring in a few years. I'm just over here in US Bank Tower grabbing my coffee in the middle of the day. So I was like, this is gonna be challenging. And what did you say to me? I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for the challenge because I love Minneapolis. I've spent my career here. I want to go out in a way that I really give back to this community, and you've done that. You really have done that, and I know you will continue to do that. I'm supporting you, and I hope that you get the support from this council today that this city needs to make sure you continue doing the work around public safety for the city of Minneapolis. Thank you for your service, Commissioner. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I too will be supporting you today, Commissioner. You have, of all the hard jobs on the cabinet, you have the very hardest. Why? Because sure, the police department, it's been here 100 plus years, fire department, our 911 emergency, those all run fairly smoothly. Your good work has been with that Office of Community Safety. That is a new idea, the non-armed public safety, very, very new. It's not like a police department. It's not like a fire department. And you have taken and brought professionalism to that. It's ironic that I'm sitting next to Councilmember Vita. When we first joined the council, we did not vote for the community safety ambassadors and violence interrupters because we did not understand how the money was being spent. And you brought that accountability. That office under your leadership has also been very helpful with me bringing community elders into Dinkytown and along the riverfront in order to tamp down that violence. So I thank you for that, and I will be voting for you today. Thank you for a great job.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also want to begin by thanking Commissioner Barnett for his service here at the City of Minneapolis and a very long and distinguished career in public service prior to his time here. Commissioner Barnett oversees 5 of our very important and very publicly scrutinized departments that provide core services to residents in the city. Residents expect high quality services, and they rightfully expect that when they need help, they will receive it from this institution. Your job is a big one. It's an important one. And for me, I'm arriving at my decision based on a few different factors, and I want to start by talking about my experience of working with Commissioner Barnett inside of this institution. While Commissioner Barnett has served in this role, multiple of the departments that he oversees have repeatedly overspent and exceeded their budgets, some by tens of millions of dollars. I expect the Commissioner of Community Safety to hold all departments and department heads that they supervise to the same standard as every other department head in this city. And that's something he's fallen short of doing over and over again. It's jeopardized the fiscal health of our city, and it has come at the expense of services. It has come at the expense of our residents. It shocked me on Tuesday to hear the commissioner, when asked about his and his office's lack of presence at biweekly agenda setting meetings, say that this feedback was news to him. Throughout his tenure, a consistent hallmark of the Office of Community Safety has been bringing forward incomplete items and absences in agenda setting meetings. The consequence of this approach is that council members are put consistently in the position of considering items without having the necessary details to make informed and thoughtful decisions. Externally, as it relates to the way my constituents experience these departments and this office, the lack of showing up to meet with and failing to respond to and show compassionate care to my constituents, to residents of Minneapolis that are frustrated by our safety ecosystem, by our justice system, frustrated by the lack of safety that they're experiencing. To me, it's disqualifying for this role. Failure to implement initiatives that build the comprehensive safety ecosystem that is in alignment with our stated goals and stated plans, like the Uptown Safety Ambassadors for nearly 3 years now that has gone unimplemented, and bringing forward proposals to gut some of these programs is unacceptable to me. And for these reasons, I'm not going to be able to support this appointment today.
Councilmember Whiting.
Thank you, President Payne. I know it said on this dais on Tuesday that I was unsure who else could fill this role. I do know now who else could fill that role, and it's Commissioner Barnett's daughter, who is here today as the only attorney, the better attorney in that family. And so, other than that, right, this is a position that I fully believe is one that needs consistency across the board. While I fully believe that the city attorney's office and our COO are fantastic measures and leaders for their role, those positions have existed for generations. This is a position that is 4 years in length. We are dealing with something that is, again, on the cutting edge of what public safety should look like in this community. And at the helm of that is somebody who's been in the public safety realm for generations as well. And so I kind of want to paint a picture here. You all know my personal feelings about and support for Commissioner Barnett, but don't take mine, right? We had the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota come here personally and say, Commissioner Barnett is the person for this role, right? If we want to talk about community, you have multiple council members up here that say, in the North Side, are historically over-policed, over-criminalized communities, Commissioner Barnett shows up. So if we are talking about public safety For those that see it most in this city, the people that have come and shown up have said that Commissioner Barnett is the person for that role. So don't take my word. Take Attorney General Ellison's. Take our leaders, Lisa Clemens of Mothers Initiative, who texted me yesterday, Jameson, we have to make sure that Commissioner Barnett stays here. Right, and I want to, again, paint a picture broadly, not just about Commissioner Barnett. As somebody who has worked within the city of Minneapolis in our police reform initiatives, this is what will happen if Commissioner Barnett is not here in a office that is just trying to figure out these foundations. We will have a minimum of 6 months to a year search for a position. It's mostly, I think, highly unlikely that this will come internally from the city of Minneapolis, which means it's probably somebody from outside of this city. That is a year that the Safe and Thriving's community report, that is a year that our gun violence intervention, that is a year that our violence interrupters, that is a year that our BCR facilities do not have a leader at the helm to push forward reforms that we agree with. Every single person on this body agrees with. Those things will fall off, right? The moment we get that person in a year, that person will have to have, in my understanding, probably about a year's worth of a learning curve to understand what it is like to actually move forward traditional law enforcement alternatives that we, again, all want to see here. And so if we are committed, and I appreciate Councilmember Wansley bringing up the Safe and Thriving's community report, because that fully lives under the umbrella of the Office of Community Safety, fully lives. If we do not have a leader at the helm of that, that falls off. That completely stops. Right, and so we have seen an improvement in this body, right? The mayor spoke to it. We have a fantastic leader in Director Sayer over our emergency management. We have a fantastic leader over the neighborhood and safety department. Those hires were brought in by Commissioner Barnett. We have seen improvement in these bodies that are moving forward to ensure that we are making sure that public safety moves forward in our city. And not just, again, traditional law enforcement. We are talking about law enforcement alternatives that this city has again and again. We have 3 documents over thousands of pages committed to law enforcement reform. I want to see those move ahead. I know my commissioners or my council colleagues want to see those move ahead. We can't do that without a person at the helm. And so, again, the last thing I will add here is this work is done not just on the streets of the city of Minneapolis, but we have seen it in our response to some of the most pressing emergencies in the city of Minneapolis in recent memory. We have had the tragedy at Annunciation in my ward. And every single time there, I have seen Commissioner Barnett show up. I have had members within that community tell me, Commissioner Barnett, Chief O'Hara, our Chief Rucker, Chief Tyner, these people show up. Our first responders show up for them. We have seen in the fallout of Operation Metro Surge, our leaders show up. Commissioner Barnett is a version of that. If we want to be a city that is here and weathers emergencies, we need a consistency of leadership. And I am tired of, we've seen what happens when we don't. We have all been here and see what happens when we don't. And so I think this is beyond the position, right? I have heard frustrations about the position, not necessarily Commissioner Barnett, right? You can have frustrations about the position. I think that is entirely fair. And I think that is something we should work out as a body. But we need someone, again, to lead this in a manner that is truthful, that is honest, and that has the character to do it, and somebody that deeply believes in the reforms and alternatives that goes into public safety. And I think Commissioner Barnett is that person, and I'm glad to support your reappointment, and I hope my colleagues do as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. President. Of the 3 positions being discussed today, I think this one is the most difficult, and I think it's also the most important. Public safety has and always will be my top priority as a council member, and it is also what I think is most important to the entire city of Minneapolis. There are lots of times, sometimes it feels like most times, that Commissioner Barnett is in a lose-lose situation. It is to his credit that he remains calm and forges ahead in the face of a lot of criticism and does what he thinks is best by way of public safety, even when that is unpopular. You know what's different in going over budget in an emergency response? That our first responders don't get to stop showing up, and they wouldn't choose to do so. We don't have the luxury of budgeting for crises in our city like we plan for a certain number of snow emergencies each year. It's fine to be frustrated by this part of our city going over budget. Sure, I am. But does council have a solution for that? Our solution so far has been more reporting. The reality here is an understaffed department. The reality is our cops get more and more overtime because they don't have a choice to stop showing up. I saw firsthand how Commissioner Barnett has led and is still leading the Office of Community Safety in response to the mass shooting at Annunciation is a really tangible example that is deeply personal to me and to the area of the city that I represent. I'm the council member to many families of Annunciation, one of the victims of death in this situation, and of the first responders who were on the scene. Commissioner Barnett's leadership helped me in my ability to respond and support all of these people with very different needs. This is an extraordinarily difficult job, and I believe Commissioner Barnett has led with vision and integrity. I don't think that we should mistake disagreements about things like government structure with opposition to Todd Barnett. We also shouldn't confuse disagreements with the mayor for the shortcomings of Todd Barnett. Thank you.
Seeing, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, President Payne, and thank you, Commissioner Barnett, for your service and dedication to the city of Minneapolis. It's clear how difficult the role is and the work is. And one thing I'll just say, like, it's really clear to me, like, you are really well loved by your community and those who have worked with you. You have a stellar reputation as a judge, and on a personal level, I think you're a really great person and have appreciated the moments that we've been able to interact in a more down-to-earth way. And that is something that does mean a lot to me. I really struggled in making a decision on this position. And I think I had to try to separate myself from individuals who hold positions and think more about representation of community and what community needs. And I think one of the things that came to mind as I was reviewing and thinking about the role of Commissioner of Community Safety is that it really requires someone that is able to just get into the mess of what creating a new public safety ecosystem looks like. And I feel like there have been moments where I have wished that I had seen you more in the fray of that type of work. One of the things that I asked for and hoped for in our very first meeting together when I was sworn in early to the city council is that we have meetings together that are proactive, that talk about like what are ways that we can address public safety in my ward and then throughout the city. And one of the things that I've also mentioned in committees that are really important to me is just like long-term planning for summer safety, and then also planning for when the weather changes, because safety is impacted very much by hot and cold weather. And I feel like unfortunately there hasn't been times where a proactive reach out to me to schedule meetings and to sit down has happened. I think that's one thing that council members really can be of service to the Office of Community Safety is the vantage point of our wards and our needs. And I think I've made many different efforts in trying to have those conversations. I've set up different conversations with you and then also members of your department with varying results. The other thing that came to mind for me was also budgeting concerns and issues. And while I understand that overtime is necessary, I do think like that $20 million of overspending is just a huge overage that was really hard for me to wrap my head around, especially as there's this continued rhetoric, I think, that divides our city about we're defunding public safety or we don't care about public safety if you don't do this one singular thing. And I think it's more broad than that. And I think like if that occurred in any other department, there would be far more consternation across the board. I think the thing that was the hardest for me throughout this entire term was when we were having discussions about the concerns that we were hearing with our contractors about getting payments, and then also in relationship to the Coppola agreement, which I know, or settlement agreement, which I know occurred before, or occurred like right after you came on board. But I think there was something to that in terms of like how these contracts and vendors were being managed by the neighborhood safety department. And I think that was a really, really embattled point between the council and the Office of Community Safety and Community. And I think there was an opportunity there for us to really try to come together and get out of it being so hard and difficult. But I think the thing that came out of it that was the most difficult for me in terms of like, is this the type of leadership that I want to see, is when we had someone that was a contract holder, but not for one that we were voting on, levy threats against council members and say really, really difficult remarks that were homophobic directed at council members, and also again, going back to threats. And then there was a request from this body for us to no longer contract with that individual because they were doing safety work. And I don't feel like that was addressed, and I don't feel like that was taken seriously. Whereas in the county, like the commissioners there and the administration there did take that very seriously and address it. And I just, that was a point I feel like I just haven't been able to let go of. The final thing I'll just say is like, it's been hard to feel dismissed when there's been outreach done on questions around public safety. There has been at a point where I was just like, all right, like I'm gonna just try to stop trying a little bit because I just need to. But there's been one specific thing that I've asked for, and I've sent repeated follow-ups, and even one being like, hey, like, at what point am I gonna hear something? At what point can I get this information? Because me and several constituents are having a conversation related to our job around public safety, and I didn't get a response on that. And I think that's just kind of paired with like instances of not showing up to agenda setting and kind of flippant remarks that are made in different meetings, not specifically from you, but has happened in OCS.
You are at time.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chugtai?
I'm good, Mr. President. We can proceed to taking the vote on this.
Okay, on this, is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Nay.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Nay.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vito.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
No.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Nay.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Nay.
Vice President Osman.
Nay.
President Payne.
Nay.
There are 6 ayes and 7 nays.
That item fails. And before we proceed to the rest of this agenda, I'm going to take a 5-minute recess for bio break. Oh, wait, one more thing. Actually, I'm going to make a motion to reconsider item number 7. Is there a second? That's been moved and seconded. I'll recognize Councilmember Wansley.
Just motion to vote on this.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to be recalling the roll on the city attorney appointment. And I will ask the clerk to call the roll if there's no discussion.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I think you need to be on the side of that vote.
Mr. Clerk, I was on the prevailing side. Do we need to call the roll on the motion to reconsider before?
Mr. President, yes, the motion that you've just made is to reconsider. You did vote on the prevailing side on the original action, and so that would be a proper motion to put in front of the body to reconsider the vote on the nomination of city attorney. The motion that would be before you is now open for discussion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion to reconsider.
Councilmember Whiting.
No. Wait. Sorry. What does a yes vote and a no vote get us here?
What you're doing?
Councilmember Wansley, do you want to?
Yes, I'm changing my vote, so that's literally what we're doing. Yes. To redo. No.
Councilmember Wansley would like to change her no vote to a yes vote for the city attorney.
Point of order, Mr. President. Can the council member not just change her vote without, because it's not going to change the outcome?
Yeah.
So is
without
that
objection?
I was
Mr.
told, I asked.
Mr. President,
yeah.
if there's no objection, we would record that. But if there's any objection, then we'd need to
Is
go
there
through
any
this
objection
process.
to Councilmember Wansley changing her no vote to
No.
a yes vote? Okay. Can the clerks?
Then, Mr. President, I would record 11 ayes and 2 nays on the renomination of Kristen Anderson to the appointed position of city attorney.
Okay. There you go. Thank you. Let's take a brief recess just to take a break and then finish off this agenda. We'll come back at noon sharp. And tech team, we're ready. We are back from recess, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll to verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Whiting.
Present.
Councilmember Chowdhury is absent. Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Councilmember Vitaw.
Present.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez is absent. Councilmember Warren.
Present.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Present.
Councilmember Wansley.
Present.
Councilmember Shugtai is absent. Vice President Osman is absent. President Payne.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez.
Present.
There are 10 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. We've also been joined by Vice President Osman and Councilmember Chugtai. And next up, we have item number 13.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. On item number 9, the last item we took up before our brief recess, the action ended in a failure because it was 6-7, but the motion was to consider approving the mayor's nomination. In order to have a definitive act, we would prefer to have a motion that says to deny the approval of that. So if we could get a motion to deny that that nomination and process it, that's an easier act to send to the mayor.
Is there a motion to deny item number 9?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Wait, no, not yet.
Councilmember Chavez?
I think there's folks missing in the room that we need to make sure that we can vote on this item.
I think.
Part of the responsibility to the council to show up to the meeting.
All right. We can hold for a second. Councilmember Stevenson?
Yeah. This was a difficult decision for many of us, and I think that we should wait for our colleague to come back before taking the vote.
We've been joined by Councilmember Chowdhury. There is a motion for the purposes of clerical clarity, there is a motion to deny item number 9 as a cleaner action to send to the mayor to bring you up to speed. Councilmember Chavez, are you going to speak to this motion?
Yes. And Council President Payne, can you clarify, or can the clerk clarify, an aye vote would be denying the appointment?
Mr. President, Councilmember Chavez just explained it. So an aye vote on this motion is to deny the mayor's nomination of Todd Barnett to the appointed position of the Commissioner of Community Safety. A nay vote is to oppose the denial.
On that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Nay.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Nay.
Councilmember Vitaw.
No.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Nay.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
No.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Nay.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 7 ayes and 6 nays.
That item passes and therefore is denied. Next, we will take up item number 13, which is the appointed position of the Fire Department Fire Chief. And seeing no one in queue, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vitaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Nay.
Vice President Osman.
Sorry, what was I?
Fire Chief.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes and 1 nay.
That item carries. Next, we will take up items 24 through 27 at the same time, as they are all related. And I will ask if there is any discussion on this. Councilmember Schaefer.
One thing that's important to me is to not vote forward items in ignorance. I spend a lot of time combing through the agenda items and asking questions of staff. On Tuesday, I pulled these items because I had no visibility other than the sketch of phrases that was in limbs and what I read in Dina Winter's article that morning in the Star Tribune. I have not heard from the authors on this work, and staff seemed uncertain about the direction. So I pulled these items to get more information from the authors, both for Minneapolis residents who would need to pay for the expansion of this work, myself as an elected, and anyone else who has decided to tune in and understand what is going on here. Right now, we have before us 4 adult bathhouses and sex venues resolutions coming forward for a vote from this body to allow staff to spend time on this. By generally discussing some of these subject matter of our resolutions, I think could be a helpful tool for us as a divided body to show or not show general support for an idea that we would like or not like to continue. Then we can make sure that we have some sense of a signal to the public and to ourselves what we would like to move forward to spend staff time and taxpayer dollars on. Right now, I don't have a lot of visibility around this, so could the authors just please give a review or an overview by each of the numbers, 24, 25, 26, 27?
Who would like to take this on? Me? So I can just speak to some of the history here. Back in 2023, we moved to amend some of the language surrounding bathhouse regulation to remove stigmatizing language. This was an outgrowth of the HIV and AIDS epidemic in 1980, in the 80s, and it was a very different time in our understanding of public health and a very different time in our understanding of HIV and AIDS. And there was a lot of language that was in that ordinance that was really dehumanizing, particularly for the LGBTQI+ community. And at that time, advocates were really encouraging the city to actually repeal this ban outright, noting that these types of venues exist in cities like San Francisco, Chicago, and they've been a place of both community and good public health practices. So as an example, when there was a big monkeypox outbreak, some of these sites were a really strong center for distributing the vaccine for monkeypox, and there was a successful public health campaign around that. And we know that some of the activities that are being described here already happen right now, today, in the shadows, and they're happening in a completely unregulated way, without proper hygiene, without proper public health interventions. And so we want to modernize this language so that we can recognize activity that's already happening, but do it in a way that's regulated and safe and can deliver better public health outcomes for our community, as well as supporting these very important community spaces, especially for our LGBTQ+ community. So that's the intention behind this. It's outlined in a number of various ordinances because we have to touch the business licensing code, we have to touch the zoning code, we have to touch the health regulations code, and then there's miscellaneous ordinance amendments that need to be updated so that the activities that happen in these types of establishment are all above board. So that is the overall intention of this. And to your point, this is not, we are not voting on approving a policy. We are voting on referring this to staff so that they can dig into the work across all of those policy areas to make sure that it is aligned with state statute and best practices when it comes to public health.
Thank you, President Payne, for that reference to 2023 and removing stigmatized language is very important to me as well. And maybe there's some portions of these that still needs an expansion of stigmatized language, which I would like to understand better, whether that's 24, 25, 26, and 27. But your viewpoint that it would help infer better health practices within our city is one that other people would differ with you. Just this week, I had a resident from Loring Park reach out to me stating, "I'm wondering why this is a city issue, and I am concerned about the public health implications. I am a gay man who co-founded the Minnesota AIDS Project in 1983, worked with Senator Alan Speer, helped elect Brian Coyle to the City Council, and was a plaintiff for the Minnesota Civil Liberties Union in challenging the state's laws at that time. So my feelings and voice is important. I believe that bathhouses are places that have been awful spreaders of HIV and numerous other medical afflictions among gay men. I think the activists who claim this is a freedom issue are not recognizing the terrible impact bathhouses have on the health of gay men as individuals in a community. These are not my words. These are one of my residents that I'm sharing with you today. My concerns around this are the continued signal that this sends to our community about spending staff dollars, staff time, and opening our doors to other issues. Right now, soon, Minneapolis will be receiving the JFK Profile and Courage Award after peacefully standing up for the health and safety of our residents. We should stay focused on rebuilding creative ideas to drive new investment for our city and drive increased revenue. Or what are efficiencies that we can implement to minimize property taxes increases? Instead, quite the contrary, we are talking about Cuba, European financial institutions, sex venues, and coming up data center moratoriums and other temporary
We're currently
eviction.
discussing the sex venues ordinance.
So in my mind, these resolutions are simply disconnected from the reality of everyday residents and people trying to do business in our city. Thank you.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm all for removing stigmatizing language and recognizing an advancement in preventive care. Care has come a long way since these ordinances were first enacted. And just to be clear, I believe they were enacted back in the 80s by people without any sort of discriminatory bone in their body. They were doing so to prevent a public health hazard at the time. And now, in 2026, it might be time to make a different call. But what I struggle with and what I've been getting outreach on is what problem is it that we are trying to solve here? I think you've spoken just a little bit about that. Why is this necessary? It sounds like it's just time to go back to what was, because it might also have community in it for our LGBTQ community. I'd like to better understand the big picture, because staff have mentioned that it sounds like a large lift, and what is very important to me about this kind of effort is that it is very separate from any of the adult entertainment ordinances that I spent quite a bit of time on a few years ago. Those adult entertainment ordinance changes were very much so that particularly women in adult entertainment institutions were safe from sexual assault. They were safe from people crossing a line into sexual activity. And if this were to piggyback on it, then I don't think that's a good place for something like this. If instead you're looking to bring back the bathhouses of the 1980s, that's a little bit different. But could you say more about where you see this going? Because I was sent back a petition and a timeline, but not a lot of big picture understanding about why this is necessary. And I just want to understand and have asked you for this privately.
This isn't just about community, this is about public health. These activities are happening right now in an unregulated fashion without proper public health interventions, hygiene stations, safer sex supplies such as condoms, dental dams. It's completely unregulated and happening in the shadows. And it's happening across the city in ways that we don't fully know. We want to work with staff so that we can actually put some really sound parameters around this type of activity so that when it does happen, it's happening in a safe way that is aligned with best practices in public health. And to be able to define those parameters, we need to forward this to staff to do that rigorous work. Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. I also just want to note and overemphasize what's been shared. It's very typical for us to forward these motions to committee where that is where the work gets done. And thankfully, I mean, even though you did a great job, Councilmember Chowdhury, we won't have to deal with another super cow. So everyone will have the ability to bring your questions, do your homework, and bring that same zest for policy development in the place where you do policy development, which is in the committee. And in this case, I believe this will be taken up in the Public Health and Safety Committee, where you can, do further dialogue. That's where we're asking staff to bring further recommendations in collaboration with the authors. And I also need to highlight too, because I know not everyone is up to speed on the work that has been advanced by this body and just got here, but this is a byproduct of 2 years of work where the authors themselves, specifically Council President Payne and also former Council President Andrea Jenkins, actually issued a motion for our policy and research team to do an analysis on this very thing. And they produced a 30-page report outlining other cities that have taken the same initiative to make sure that we are decriminalizing spaces for our LGBT plus communities and truly living up to our values of being a welcoming city of all of our residents. That report is very thorough. It also offers recommendations in which this policy aims to build upon in our development phase. So we have done the due diligence of doing that pre-legislative work. I encourage my colleagues to get caught up and look at LIMS, read the report, and then bring those questions, bring some of the insights that you gather from that report to the committee where we will further workshop this proposal. And I'm also grateful for the number of coalitions and partners who've reached out and other public health subject matter experts who've reached out and say, this is something, especially in a climate where we're seeing the federal administration go all out on criminalizing LGBTQ plus communities and making them very much know that you do not belong in our society, that these are one of the policies that's on the books here in Minneapolis where we're supposed to be a progressive beacon that does not align with our values and actually points to the federal direction. So I'm very glad that we're even looking at ways in which we're moving away from that with what's existing and what's already on the books. So I'm excited to dig further into this. Again, this has been 2 years of work already made by the co-authors and former council members, and truly making sure that we're a welcoming city for every single resident and community here. And with that, I would like to ask the co-authors if I could join on as a co-author.
We would love that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Council President Payne. As an author, I did want to let Councilmember Pomosan know that the authors did respond to your email if you want to check your inbox. I want to let the public know that this is being referred to staff. This is a regular part of our legislative process. So if the media is going to report that we're delaying this conversation, we're not. This is our regular legislative process. There is no language written. It's being referred to staff so we can develop the ordinance. As the only out LGBTQ plus person in this body, I have a lot to say today, and I would just ask my colleagues in particular to please be careful with your words and how you're talking about this ordinance and how your rhetoric could be harmful to my community. LGBTQI plus gathering spaces, including bathhouses, have long been targeted by criminalization and policing, and our communities have had to pay a price for that. I'm hearing my colleagues who are concerned about priorities or why this is even an issue. The deeper question is whose priorities count and whose priorities matter. If we are telling LGBTQ plus Minneapolis residents that they do not matter, and that their safety does not matter, and that their health does not matter, and that our community spaces do not matter, that is very harmful, and that is not okay. The 1988 ban wasn't a neutral policy. It was written during a moral panic targeting gay men. This body has been working on a variety of issues in the city of Minneapolis, from public safety to gun violence prevention to criminal justice reform, rental assistance, approving basic city services, and more. We can protect our LGBTQ plus community and address basic city services and uplift the humanity of our residents. It is not competing interests. Thank you.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm surprised and I am heartbroken. I'm surprised because of the amount of frenzy over these ordinances. This is a standard part of our legislative process. We're in the part where we're referring an item to committee. We are so early in the legislative process, and there have been, this is the third time I think in my tenure on this dais that I have seen a referral vote become so politicized. Usually, we refer hundreds and hundreds of ordinances every single year that that we have no details about. We do this all of the time. That's like a standard part of how we move things through our legislative process and develop policy. And suddenly, we just have media reporting on this ordinance as like a scary thing about to happen. Adult bathhouses legalized in Minneapolis. People are gonna go crazy. What? I'm heartbroken because of the rhetoric that I hear about our LGBTQ community. Our city was incorporated in 1867. This is almost a 160-year-old city. There are plenty of laws on our books that are racist, that are xenophobic, that are homophobic. And it's important that we meaningfully and thoughtfully undo those so that our stated policies and laws at the local level do not harm the very people that are under attack by our federal government right now. LGBTQ people are under attack by our federal government right now. We presented an honor resolution this morning recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility because the federal government and state governments around the country are trying to legislate trans people out of existence. LGBTQ people are under attack by our federal government right now. And at the local level here in Minneapolis, where we are so proud to have been the first city in the country to recognize the rights of LGBTQ people, the civil liberties of LGBTQ people, that history in this city, and we're turning around and spreading homophobic rhetoric from this dais?
Please don't ascribe motive.
I'm not ascribing motive, Mr. President. I am stating a fact. It's just, this is time for us to look inward. And then I'll end with asking Mr. President if I can be added as an author on this item.
I think the rest
On these
of the
items.
authors would absolutely welcome that. Councilmember Stevenson.
Yeah, we are referring this to staff. There still is a lot of work ahead of us before we have the policy that we're actually going to be voting up or down in the future. But I did just want to call out that this is the carrying on of my predecessor's work, Councilmember Andrea Jenkins. And when I was running for council in 2023 and in 2025, my constituents were so explicitly clear with me, the ones who supported me and the ones who didn't. If you're elected, will you continue the LGBTQ equity work that has come out of the Ward 8 office? And they said, we will not vote for you if you do not. And so that is what I am doing, being an author here. My constituents asked me directly across the political divide we have here on this dais. They asked me, please continue this work because it is so valuable to us and we want this. So that is why I'm involved with this. That is why I think it's an important thing that we should do. The people of Minneapolis want it. They want us to be fighting for LGBTQ plus people. And the advocates, particularly the Aliveness Project, which seeks to end HIV, is saying that this is another step that we need to protect our neighbors, protect our residents. And I think that's really important. I think that's really, really important. I would like to say that through the president, Councilmember Schaefer, you know that I grew up in the same religious tradition that you are in, and I can understand not understanding this this policy. I can understand it being something that doesn't seem like a priority. I can totally understand where you're coming from. And I would like to say to that this is a priority to many, many people. And it is a priority to my residents. It's a priority to me. And it's a priority because we just really love people, you know. And I know that you care about people as well. And so when we're talking about this, we're talking about how can we love our neighbors a little bit better. And yesterday, we did get the chance to talk about this a little bit, and I'd encourage more conversation between you and I, both on and off the dais on this issue. Thank you.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Yes. Number one, I will say no one is trying to, the city of Minneapolis, or no one in the city of Minneapolis is criminalizing anyone for their sexuality. We are trying to change some of the ordinances and titles in our gender-affirming city right now. So I'm not sure where that statement comes from. No one in this city is trying to harm the health of our residents. We're trying to do everything we can to support the health of our residents. We are opening and spending money on human trafficking services at the new Community Safety Center. So I just want to be clear that there is no, some of the accusations that have been made up here, I feel like are inaccurate, both about our city and both about myself. And I'd be happy to speak with others. I'm not going to get into tit for tat on the dais. We're above that. But my reason for pulling this was we are a divided body. I'll say it again. This is an opportunity for us to vote down sending things to staff, spending taxpayer money on at this point in time, not saying it maybe is for later, but this is an opportunity we have on this dais to weed some things out if we choose. It is not a high priority for the majority of us on this dais. So that's my point in bringing it forward. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Vice President Osman.
Thank you so much. The discussion, I think the item clearly states that this is referring to the staff. I don't know how I'm going to vote on this, to be honest with you, but I'm open to be educated. I'm open. The staff are hired for City of Minneapolis to do the research, to do the work. Stopping that, we're limiting ourselves. Any council member that's here should be able to give an opportunity and to educate themselves. There are items that one day I was like, nope, I'm not going to vote on this, but I talked to the expertise and I changed my mind. So you are limiting yourself by not giving the staff and expertise to do more research, to do more data, to do more this 40 years ban. Brian Coyle, an individual who has been honored in the city of Minneapolis, has been, as you can tell, search a little bit and read about how we got here. But what we're discussing today is not passing the bathhouse city of Minneapolis. That's not what's on the agenda. It's referring to the staff to do more research, to educate us, and come back with referrals. And what that looks like is that we don't know what that looks like. I might vote it up, I might vote it down. But let's not limit ourselves. Let's refer to a lot of stuff we don't have a knowledge into to the staff. So we have an opportunity for me and for you and for the public to be educated. Thank you, Council President.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you so much, President Payne, and thank you so much to the authors of this ordinance for bringing this forward. This has been a topic of conversation and an ordinance that community members that are everyday people that I would say would not consider themselves like organized advocates. They're just stepping up to the plate, have said that this is something they want to see the city of Minneapolis take on and bring forward as a priority. Every single year that I've been a council member, that has been the case. I think that it's really, really important for us to recognize that LGBTQIA issues need to be made a priority in this city. And they're compared to the issues that we take up around infrastructure or public safety, there are very, very limited opportunities where we get to take policy action as a city of Minneapolis to shape the environment for our LGBTQIA community specifically. And so when we do have that opportunity, it is really on us to take that up. This is a priority for me as a council member, for us to have our expert level staff to work on this. It is a priority for me to hear from our community members, for them to get an opportunity to come before us in a public hearing and state why this matters to them. It is a priority for me to be rooted in the history of this. And one thing, no matter what anybody says, that we can't separate from the conversation is that years and years of entrenched homophobia systematically that exists surrounding this work. You can't separate the two. There is inherent homophobia around this ban. And that is why several cities have taken this up and have brought this into a place where there are regulations that are taken up through a public health lens. And there is a lot of public health evidence and data that shows the concerns around HIV, STI spreading, that a pure ban has not resolved. It's actually put people into the shadows and has perpetuated that public health risk. And bringing it into the regulatory environment is an opportunity to change that, to create a better city. And so I am really, really looking forward to this, and to the residents that are listening that may have heard some remarks that made you feel like I am not included right now, or I feel othered. I am sorry. And that there are several of us up here that say, you absolutely matter. You absolutely matter. And we owe it to you to have this conversation and this discussion. I'm looking forward to the presentation. I'm looking forward to taking up meetings with any community member that wants to talk to me about this. I think the several Ward 12 residents who have reached out to me directly over the years to support this ordinance and to take up this work. And with that, I will ask to be a co-author on this. And as a co-author, I will call it upon myself to really, really bring in the public health evidence in this work. And that's a request to the others.
I would welcome that, yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. So I will be voting for this as it is the start of the legislative process, and that's been expressed very clearly. It's been our tradition to let this forth forward. However, two other things I want to bring up. One is we're getting dangerously close to ascribing motive overall to anyone who questions this, and that's a slippery slope we cannot go down as this body if we do want to go forward for another 3.5 years. It also brings up the fact that we were we had all arrangements made to set priorities for our council this year, and unfortunately that was the day that Renee Good got shot. So that didn't happen. And Council President Payne, I've asked you to reset that. I'm going to ask you again. I know you're saying you're working towards that, but I look forward to the day on my calendar when we can all get off site and talk about what our priorities. And I will say out loud, for the record, my priorities are affordable housing, non-armed public safety. What are we doing for social justice, environmental justice, economic justice? What about the mental health crisis, the addiction crisis, the housing crisis? That's what I want to see us focus on. Thank you.
I doubly commit to that work of bringing us together, and I'll actually call on the clerk to just speak to that.
Mr. President, as you are aware, I've been working with our facilitator, Darcy Loma, who planned and organized the original multi-day strategic advance at the beginning of this term. As Councilmember Rainville indicated, it was unfortunately interrupted. Ms. Loma was out most of the month of March, and as we were responding to Operation Metro Surge, we decided to put that on hold. I had a phone conversation with Ms. Loma literally yesterday about finding dates and times to reconvene. So I hope that that meets with approval of all council members. It is actively on my radar to get that back on the calendar.
Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Council President Payne. As I said, I'm going to be voting to support this referral to staff so we can work on this ordinance. And I just want to encourage the public to please look at LIMS, look at agenda settings, and see who is authoring ordinances, who is authoring resolutions, who is bringing forward proposals. But because we can definitely work on these policies. But if we're hearing about priorities, I'm doing all of that and more. And I'm going to continue to do it because I can work on policies that protect our LGBTQ plus community. I can work on resolutions that tell us that we should never be supporting genocide. I can work on resolutions that say we should give renters more time to pay the rent. I can work on resolutions and policies to say that people deserve rental assistance. But look at the public. Look who's authoring resolutions and who's not.
Let's keep our conversation germane to the topic.
Well, you didn't say that to the other conversation either, so please be fair.
So, seeing no one else left in queue, I need a motion to refer these items to committee. And that's been moved and seconded. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Abstain.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
Those items carry. And just for my colleagues, we have captioners until 1:30. I feel like we'll get through this, but just keep that in the back of your mind. Next up, we have item number 28 on commercial pre-eviction notice, referring this to committee. Is there any discussion on this to staff? Is there any discussion on this? Councilmember Schaefer.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure why we are bringing forward this item when the commercial district that is facing all of the downturn or devaluations that we have are now going to have an additional pressure put on them. Many of them are already losing people and leaving their buildings. And this is particular to Uptown, Downtown, Ward 7, but it's across our whole city. And so it's curious to me why we would want to put increased pressure on commercial property owners. What would be some of the effects of that action? I'm not sure if we could. I see Director Hansen here in the office. In the council chambers. President Payne, would it be all right if he came forward and shared his opinion on some of this?
Director Hansen.
Council President Payne, council members, I'm Eric Hansen. I'm the CPED director and been asked to come up and respond to some questions.
Yes. What would be some of the risks that you would see if we enacted a commercial moratorium at this point with what's happening in our city?
It's not a moratorium.
It's not a moratorium.
Okay. Okay.
The understanding is that this would be referred to staff. We would work it out as we would do with all. It gives the permission to the staff to start working on the ordinance. We have given initial feedback to the authors about the ordinance around the nature of commercial real estate versus residential real estate. CPED does have a position about advance notice, supporting advance notice when it comes to residential real estate. We need to understand more. It's more complex on the commercial side. There's also a enforcement component when there is a unlawful business and or a business that doesn't is not complying with. It's not being a positive neighbor. We use quick evictions as a tool, and we have reference to we have shared with the authors that that's something that we would have in mind as we would work through this, is to be able to have a carve out for something when there's an emergency where we need a business out a particular business out for some sort of nefarious action.
Okay, thank you. I just feel like at this point in time, we really want to be thoughtful in this area.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Thank you. I don't actually know much about this policy, again, because it hasn't gone to staff. I'm excited to learn a lot more about it because our local business community is in need of help. And maybe this is a good way, maybe it's not. We'll find out when staff comes back. I would just like to call out one thing. There is a group that has been a problem in Uptown, and that is commercial property owners, not business owners. What are all those vacant sites that sit on between Lake and 31st on Hennepin? They could have the owners of those buildings could have broken up those properties into a bunch of smaller things and rented them out. Instead, they've sat vacant for years and years and years. So I don't think we need to be advocating for the rights of commercial property owners more at this time. I think we need to be advocating for the rights of small businesses to have places that they can go into in order to liven up our city again. Uptown, downtown, all over. I did want to call that out. And then secondly, I did want to call out that commercial pre-eviction notice ordinance, at least on the face, is not a moratorium of anything. So let's not talk about that.
Councilmember Wansley.
I just want to make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vice President Osman.
Yeah, just the same concern, but like I say before, my comment that I rely on expertise like Director Hansen and others to really, do the research and give us suggestions where to go. We live in a free market society and can imagine, limiting businesses to, this is not like the similar as the housing, that's just my idea, or renters, but I do have the same concern Councilmember Schaefer has, but I am open to be educated on that. Thank you.
Seeing no one else left in queue, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion to refer this item to staff.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainbow.
Aye.
Councilmember Vitaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shughtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That item carries. Next, we will take up item number 52, which is non-traditional and culturally specific community health and wellness and well-being services at the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center, and I will recognize Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. I'm trying to see if we actually have anyone from the health department here or OCS specifically. I think Will is the staff member who spoke to this. We left Tuesday with a shared agreement. I wanted to see the RCA be updated to reflect a backup option where these services could be housed in the Lake Street Safety Center, considering that the Community Safety Center in South Minneapolis, its opening date or is TBD. So it makes no sense to hold the services tied to this contract back until that undetermined opening date when we do have a backup location. It was my hopes that, again, based off of the kind of open and receptive conversation that we had on Tuesday, that OCS would take that into account and make those changes, but they're not here. So I feel a bit hesitant of moving this forward and leaning towards a delay because this was something that could have easily been resolved, and we do have an option. And I just want to make sure these services are not being hindered in their administration.
Vice President Osman?
Yeah, I do have the same concern, and also the other concern I have that they did say that the RFP is coming out for this is that if we delay it, does that also limit more services being delayed? And I don't know where to go about this, but it will be great if we can have the staff, especially who's leading this, to be on the floor on the council to answer some of these questions. But I just don't have those answers right now.
Councilmember Wansley?
With that, I would just make the motion to table. I know we have one other item that was pulled, that hopefully by the time we finish discussion, maybe we can have staff here, specifically health, because that is a department that's owning this work, just to see if we can get those staff here to answer those questions. But I will make the motion to table.
Without objection, I will hold item 52 to the end of our agenda. Okay. Next, we have item number 55, and that is, I believe, the resolution for Hennepin Healthcare Systems, Inc. I will recognize, was it Councilmember Vita that was the lead author? Do you want to speak to it? Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Council Vice President Osman, for helping out with this. I think it's important for us to acknowledge that Hennepin County Hospital is in trouble and in need of support to stay open. It is certainly a priority of mine to make sure that that hospital, not only Hennepin County, but North Memorial, remain open. As a representative of the North Side, I certainly understand how important it is for both of those facilities as level 1 trauma centers to be open. And so, colleagues, I really think this is something that is extremely important in our city right now, not just for Minneapolis, but for the state. And so I'm expecting that we're all gonna vote for this and happy that this is happening in support. And I'll also say Commissioner Conley reached out earlier this week and just said thank you for the support of this. And, you know, I think we should let folks know we have their backs on this. We're gonna do all we can as a body to make sure that this hospital stays open.
Vice President Osman.
Yeah, I do want to thank Councilmember Vita for her work on this. I think this falls responsibility for all of us. This is a hospital that serves low-income, uninsured folks and vulnerable population, and it's essential for us to keep this. So thank you, Councilmember Vita, for your work on this resolution.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, President Payne. I think it's just one of the most very existential issues for our city and our state that we're facing, this impending closure of HCMC, a regional trauma 1 center. And I just want to affirm how badly we need to get dedicated, sustainable funding from the state legislature. I've talked to several members of our state Senate and our state House that this is one of their top priorities on getting through, and there is also growing bipartisan support for this, as this is not just a Minneapolis issue and not just a Hennepin County issue. HCMC serves cities and towns and communities all across the state of Minnesota, and if HCMC closes, the people who will be hurt the most are working people every day who rely on care and are able to receive that care even in the face of a broken healthcare system. And I want to particularly thank Commissioner Angela Conley and Commissioner Lundy for their work as co-IGR chairs for really leading the conversation at the Capitol.
Seeing no one else left in queue, I will ask the clerk to, well, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. Oh,
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Vita?
No, go ahead.
Make the motion.
Would you like to make the motion to approve Councilmember Vita?
Of course I would. There we go. Sorry. Sorry. Thank you.
And it sounds like that's been seconded. So if we can have that noted by the clerks, I will ask the clerks to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That item carries. We are holding over item 52 until we get to the end of our agenda. Council members Chavez and Palmisano had discussed item number 6. Did you want to make a motion?
Yes. Mr. President, in conversation during the break with Councilmember Chavez and more recently Chair Chowdhury of Committee of the Whole, something we all agree on is that this ordinance needs both time and a little bit more effort as a body. And this is about the drug paraphernalia decriminalization ordinance, item number 6. The problem is Public Health and Safety Committee comes up real quickly next week. So a good compromise, we felt, would be to make time for it at Committee of the Whole next cycle. So I'd like to motion that we redo the vote on postponement directly back to council. Rather, let's substitute and refer it back to a committee for more deliberation and effort, in this case, Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, April 21st.
Second.
Now, do we got to through a full reconsideration, or without objection, can we make that change?
Mr. President, if there's not objection to reconsidering and changing it, we wouldn't need to take the motion and reconsider. We will have to take a vote on the committee reference and date, obviously.
Okay. So on that motion,
First, is there any objection?
Is there any objection
to reconsidering the item?
All right. Okay. Let's take up the motion to refer this to the Committee of the Whole on April 21st. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vitar.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osman.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and that item will be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Next, we will take up the order of business of ordinance introductions. We have 2 notices on our agenda today. First, Council members Chowdhury and Chavez give notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the portion of the code related to interim ordinances, adding a new chapter providing for a moratorium on the establishment, reestablishment, or expansion of data center uses. Next, Councilmember Whiting gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting the subject matter of an ordinance amending the administration code, amending the requirements for completion of ethics education. Are there any questions on these notices? Seeing none, those notices are hereby given and no further action is required at this time. The next order of business is the introduction and referral calendar. We have 4 items on the agenda today. First, Councilmember Chowdhury moves to amend the introduction given at our February 19th meeting related to firearm regulation by changing the Committee of Referral from the Public Health, Safety, and Equity Committee to the Committee of the Whole. Pursuant to notice, item 2 is from Councilmembers Chavez, Chugtai, and Chowdhury, who move to introduce the subject matter of an ordinance amending the License and Business Regulation Code for first reading and referral to the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee, adding a new Chapter 296 entitled Safe Outdoor Spaces, establishing licensing requirements for authorized and regulated safe outdoor spaces or individualized outdoor sheltering options for people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. Pursuant to notice, item 3 is from Council members Wansley, Chowdhury, Stevenson, and Chugtai, who move to introduce the subject matter of 2 ordinances amending the Consumer Protection and Licenses and Business Regulation Code for first reading and referral to the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee relating to hotel regulations. Finally, item number 4, pursuant to notice, is from Council members Chowdhury and Chugtai, who move to introduce an ordinance to amend the Housing Code, temporarily extending the length of the required pre-eviction notice. Councilmember Chowdhury has a motion in front of us today to revise this referral, referring the ordinance to Committee of the Whole for a public hearing to be held on April 21st. May I have a motion to approve these introductions, including Councilmember
Oh, no.
Chowdhury's revised motion for number 4?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Yes, I was going to make that motion since I made the motion. All I was going to say on this item is we have the language for the pre-eviction notice to come, and we want to make sure that we take this up as soon as possible. April 21st is going to be nearing the end of the month, and the rent will be due again for residents in our city. We still have community members that are facing evictions. There's been growing eviction filings, as was predicted following the height of Operation Metro Surge, as many community members are struggling to pay the rent. Many community members who have lost income. And since our last meeting where Mayor Fry's veto was sustained on the 60-day pre-eviction notice, the city of St. Paul has passed a 60-day pre-eviction notice. And so I'm moving this forward for us to have the public hearing at the committee of the whole, because community members still need time. I really encourage colleagues to keep an open mind on this, and I encourage you to consider supporting this ordinance, even if you did not support the last ordinance. It is just very clear that there is a high and present need, and we were able to pass rental assistance, but rental assistance alone is not enough. People need more time, and that is exactly what we're trying to do here.
Seeing no one else left in queue, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osmond.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That motion carries, and those matters are referred to the committees listed on the agenda. The next order of business is resolutions. We have 3 resolutions on our agenda today. Do council members have any comments to add? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt those resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osmond.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and those resolutions are adopted. We have completed all items. We've had item 52 from the COW agenda tabled. Do we have any staff? Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, the clerks have reached out to the staff in attempting to get someone here to speak to this. We have been unsuccessful at this point. I heard Councilmember Wansley mention this earlier, and perhaps I could suggest if there are still questions or unresolved issues, that this could be then postponed until the committee of the whole meeting on April 21st as well, so that those issues can be addressed by staff and come back and make those changes or improvements in responding to questions and issues that had been raised.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilmember Wansley.
Nope, that's all.
Nope. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Warren.
Aye.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Shugtai.
Aye.
Vice President Osmond.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and that completes our business for today. Next, we have the order of announcements. Are there any announcements from council members? Councilmember Wansley. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, Councilmember Chavez.
I'm on cue. It's regarding the wording on the adjournment. I just don't want you to end the meeting without me being able to say something. There's an item right next to it that's the after action review for the city's actions involving Davis Maturi and John Sawchek. I just want to be able to clarify what this meeting is on April 22nd before you adjourn.
Speak to it now.
No, I'm asking you, President Payne, what is this meeting?
This is the joint meeting with the city auditor to discuss the after-action review of the Davis Maturi incident and Allison Lucier.
So I guess I just asked the clerks if we can make sure that this title is reflective of that, because it only says Davis Maturi right now, and I want to make sure that it is reflective of also all the other cases like Allison Lucier, and it's not reflective on the agenda today.
Mr. President, this is the report from the city auditor to the joint meeting being scheduled in the state, to the audit committee, and to the city council. These are the matters referred to the auditor that are contained in that report. I know there were other issues that council raised, but this is the title of the 2 items that were referred to the auditor. Happy to consult afterwards and make corrections if necessary. This is what came out of the system that were referred affirmatively to the auditor.
I guess my question is the meeting on April 22nd going to include the Davis Venturi case and also the Allison Lucier case, or is it just going to be about the Davis Venturi case?
My understanding is it is going to include both of those cases.
Okay, thank you. So I just asked that this gets addressed so the public knows what we're going to have in this meeting about, because it's misleading. Thank you.
Yep. Good flag, Councilmember Chavez. Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, President Payne. I just wanted to say, colleagues, you should give yourselves a gigantic pat on the back. I've gotten so much positive response about the license fees that were paid for business owners. Just the overwhelming amount of excitement and support that the city did this. I got messages from people saying the city finally did something right. Thank you for doing this. Councilmember Rainville and I were walking to lunch, and the city employees stopped us and said, we've got so much feedback in our office about this very positive thing from the city. So I just wanted you all to know that people really see the impact that that vote made on their businesses, and they're really happy that we were able to come through for them in that way.
Seeing no one else left in queue, with that, we've completed our business today with nothing further to come before the council, and without objection, this meeting is hereby adjourned to Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026 at 10 a.m. for a joint meeting of the City Council. Room 350 of the Public Service Center. We will be presented with the after-action review of the city's actions in cases involving Davis Venturi and Allison Lucier.